Warning. This will be a reaction to the Snedeker family of the highly debunked haunted in Connecticut. The comments, opinions, and speculations of the reactors are our own and not intended to be taken as fact. The Snedekers do describe acts of sexual assault that are carelessly used to salaciously spice up their story to be more marketable and elicit emotional response. The host of this program and our guest feel sex assault of any kind is very serious. If you would like to donate towards awareness or get help yourself, a link will be provided in the description below. Enjoy the show. Hey everybody, welcome to Fear of the Living, where tonight we will review an old 1980s Sally Jessy Raphael episode where they had the Snedeker family of the Haunted in Connecticut fame talking about their experience. It's a wild show, and for this one, I decided to surprise everybody here and all of you at home with a special surprise guest reactor. You know this person for reacting to a lot of things, and he's going to react to this with us today. Welcome to the show. Coming up any second now.
Oh my God, it's Seg.
I'm psychic.
He's not here yet.
The tension is palpable.
Yay!
Hi,
Hi,
Seg.
Seg.
Welcome.
Hey.
That is awesome.
I'm not used to Zoom. It was all a bit weird. Hey, how's it going?
How
Good,
are
how are
you?
you?
Hello, Seg.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much, Chris. Thank
Thank you
you.
for having-
Thank you,
Thank
Say.
you for the invite. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah.
Oh,
What time is it there?
Very happy. How was that?
So what time is it where you are?
10:45 a.m.
Oh.
Oh
Well, that's
God, that's so
reasonable.
weird.
in the future.
Good
Yeah.
morning. And thank you
morning.
for accepting the invite. I wanted to surprise everybody, and I'm glad to see everybody so happy.
Yeah.
Have,
For sure.
have you any familiarity, Mr. Seg, with the Haunted in Connecticut?
I mean the movie. That's about it.
Are you seen the movie? How accurate is
Yeah.
that?
A long time ago. From what I understand, very inaccurate, as most
Very
movies
inaccurate,
are.
like
but,
every movie.
No, I've not like really looked into it too far. I've not done a video on it or anything like that, so I'm not overly familiar with that case.
I'm with you. I'm the same. I'm in the same boat. I mean, I know the
Alright.
movie. I know the movie. So
I don't even remember the movie.
I don't remember. I don't remember it
either. I
remember
did
It
see
was
it.
basement.
It was before there was a cinematic universe for all of this.
Yes,
Like,
they do not
Yeah.
include the Warrens.
no, and
It
it
did
was
not.
like with Virginia Madsen when her career had like spiked back just a little bit, but I can't even remember why that happened. Like Sin City, I guess. I have no idea. Was
Did you
she
say
in
they
that?
Did you say they didn't like the Warrens?
They didn't
No,
They
include the
didn't use
Warrens.
them. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, are they gonna remake it with
Oh,
I
they want
forget,
to, yeah.
Patrick Wilson and the other, I can't remember what they're called now.
I
Is
don't
Patrick
think
Wilson
so
his name?
You don't think
because
so?
they're only doing one more, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be the Smurl case, and the Snedeker case was after that. But I don't know if they
Oh.
have any rights to that case at all.
Oh, that's okay.
Like I know Carmen doesn't. She doesn't really do much anymore, so I don't know.
Seg, what exciting things are you working on right now? What do we have to look forward to coming up in the next week?
I've got anything that hasn't got anything to do with drama. I've got
okay.
Absolutely.
yeah, I've got 4 videos already finished. Actually, I asked this on my live stream last night. Like, what do they want? Do they want like another reacting, debunking video, or do they want to do my the people in the live stream could pick between that or a my first ever solo ghost hunting investigation, and they picked the ghost hunting investigation, so that's going to be up next. But
That'd be good.
I've got like 4 videos in the bag that I'm going to be I'm going to upload, and then I'm taking a little bit of. I'm just going to. I haven't really done anything for the last couple of days, with the exception of that live stream. I'm just going to take it easy for a few days.
Sure.
Yeah.
You
Seg,
do great
buddy,
lives.
I'm just gonna tell you now. Nothing drama related. Famous last words.
I know.
Famous last words.
I know. I went some,
But-
touch wood. How about that? Touch wood.
I had to sign a very specific, detailed waiver before I could get Seg to come on tonight.
And listen,
So-
I'm happy about it. I'm like, yes, okay.
Yeah, we're happy about it indeed. Well, are you guys ready to react to the Snedekers on Sally Jessy Raphael?
Let's
Yes.
do it.
I'm excited.
Absolutely.
All right,
Yeah, crack
Seg, we
on.
made some. What? I'm
No,
sorry.
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, let's go ahead. So we made some ground rules before we started. There's only one pause button, and there's 6 of us. So if you see something you want to react to and you want to stop it, just yell stop or pause, and I'll pause it. All right, let's go. Let me get the share going. Please bear with me, Seg, and audience. I am getting used to, and I am new to this whole YouTube and sharing thing. First reaction video. $1980s. Let me turn that down.
Daytime TV.
I literally remember this, like watching this show.
Chris, do you have the sound routed correctly?
You're not hearing it?
I
No.
can't hear it.
You guys
You
don't hear
gotta-
it.
This
No,
happened to me with Victor.
Yeah, every time it does. You
I'm
gotta
not tech savvy.
reroute. You have to reroute Zoom through an external speaker, I believe.
I didn't have to do that when I did the video about Ed Warren.
Hmm.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
That's because we're using the browser, maybe.
Maybe.
Perhaps.
Well, Seg, I'm so sorry we wasted your time tonight.
Yeah. We'll just do filler again. While you use the bathroom, Chris.
You
Nothing
can't
we're
get
not
it
used
work
to.
at all. You can't get his work.
I'm just trying to figure out how I'm supposed to do this. Let me see.
We
Share
got,
se-
like-
I got it. I think.
Yeah.
Tell me if
is
this
like
works.
the Donkey Kong kill screen. Okay. Play
Is there
that.
audio?
Slept downstairs in the
Oh,
basement.
Yeah,
there it
we
is.
got
I
it.
can hear that. Yeah, cool.
There, a gruesome blood-stained wall remained, along with a
I'm an IT guy.
chain-powered body lift, once used to bring corpses from the basement to the first floor. Night
Oh, she started off already.
says they heard strange voices, loud music, and haunting footsteps in the
If you
house.
had a mustache in the 80s, you could just be shirtless, by the way, like all the time.
You must have a hairy
She
chest.
says she was
Are you upset that it's not the 80s?
by a grotesque being on her in bed. The Snedekers tried to get help.
You
from
turn
the
it up a little bit?
Police, but no one
Yes.
seemed to listen.
Did we lose
Finally, in a
Seg?
desperate cry for help, they
No, I mean-
real life
Yeah, he's just always that stationary.
He fell
Unless
off
there's
the
a spider.
Fence. You're probably saying to yourself about now, well, this story sounds crazy. But my guest today insists it's true.
Yeah.
Meet Al and Carmen Snedeker. They are here with their son, Michael, and their niece, Kelly. Later in the show, we'll talk with neighbors, including one who now lives in the very same house the Snedekers claim is haunted. He says that Al and Carmen are making up the story.
Hey, pause. I have a comment.
We're going to start with you.
Already.
You moved
Already. My goodness.
I just want to point out that she said it's Carmen and Al and their her niece and then her son Michael. Michael is not the son that this whole thing revolved around, the one with cancer. There's a reason he's not present, but that's not important. But he is not present, and that son is not the son it was about.
Was he the addict?
He had a lot. There was mental health, there was addiction, and there was also some adult crimes.
Was it against his cousin?
Yes.
The one that's on here tonight?
That's speculation, but yes.
This makes sense in a few minutes. Okay. We got any more?
Nope, that's it.
More from the queen. All right, let's go.
house in the first place because your son Stephen was in the middle of receiving treatments for cancer at a local
Yes.
hospital. And the house you moved into was a former funeral parlor. Can you take us through the layout of the house?
Yes, as you came in the front door, there was a beautiful wood entrance with an excellent hall stairway that went up to the second apartment. That's the apartment I saw first before I moved in. I didn't know it was a funeral home. When I came in the first time, the downstairs was full of workmen and woodworking things, of lumber and hammering things going on. So I saw the upstairs apartment. I didn't realize it was a funeral home. As you go through the hallway, to your left was what used to be the chapel, was our dining room. In the back of it was the kitchen. There was a back door. As you walked out the back door, there were French doors.
Oh, that
French
Chiron is
doors that
unfortunate.
led down into the basement or into our bedroom. When you went into the basement, there was the morgue and where they prepared
There'll be
the
a warning
bodies.
before the show.
The hoist went up into our bedroom above us. There was a blood tank to the right of the staircase. And then as you walked through there, there was the sink where they flushed the blood and things of that nature, and they prepared the bodies, and there was makeup and wax and things like that in there. There were 3 coffin pillows. Then as you come through, there was a tool room where they kept the little head things, where they put the name of the person, little metal plaques. You went on through, that was the north coffin room. That's where my son Stephen slept. That was his bedroom. You made a right, you went into the south coffin room. That's where Michael slept. As you go up the stairs, you go directly into the bathroom.
I have a question.
Yeah, pause. I agree with pausing right now. Go ahead.
Because she says, I didn't know it was a funeral parlor. So why was she going through this house in such detail with what was in each room as a
It
funeral
feels
home?
purposeful.
She claims that before she agreed to rent, she did not know. And upon entering it for the first time was when she learned it. But there is a lot of
sight
what?
unseen.
Yeah. So the story goes that she was in desperate need of a rental place closer to her son's treatment facility. And she came across this, saw the rental sign, immediately contacted him, said, we'll take it. The price is right.
And then
I'll
put him
back."
in the basement next to his, the dead people stuff.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So that's why there's so much argument over it, though, because they're like, how did you not know? And then some of them say, like, you'll see it in a little bit, they argue that there was a sign on the house, and Carmen argues that the sign was covered. So the argument still continues whether or not they knew beforehand.
Okay. All right. I was just
wondering about
curious because I mean,
Is
it was
that
like
a-
detail. Like she's like saying like where they have the cards and where they
Yeah.
have the plaques.
Well, it was all still in there, so she would have seen it regardless of knowing or not
okay.
once she went in.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Why would they clean it up?
What a terrible first day. Well, she
Right.
said that she only saw like the one apartment, and then like
Now
they
the
get in there the
tools
first
that they
day.
use.
Yeah,
All right. Sorry.
enjoy your
Go on.
headstones.
Continue.
No, I do have a question. Do we know if that whole the idea of disclosing a distressed property is a legal thing in certain states, and if so, which states? Have you ever heard of that?
Yes, it is definitely in New York. You have to. I know that's the one state for sure. There's a famous court case that they use in for law students about that, but it's not in every state. Let me see if it's in Connecticut.
Okay. Thank you, Stevie.
What's considered a distressed history, or how? What does that?
Death in the house.
A funeral parlor would be considered something to disclose. Just
I would say so.
The first I've heard of any of these kind of like laws.
Okay,
I don't
so
think so.
It's not legally required in the state of Connecticut to disclose that a death
There you go.
occurred on the property, and it's considered a non-material fact. So I imagine that would probably apply to the funeral home situation.
There are some states where you have to tell the homeowner.
Yeah, it's called a stigmatized property. So if you're
That's
house
what the word
hunting
is.
and want a haunted
Right.
house, look for stigmatized. But 9 times out of 10, the stigmatism is on like drugs or like natural death.
Yeah.
Not embalming.
Bear in mind, I don't know a great deal about the whole Snedeker. Their case. Was someone actually murdered in the house, or was it just a funeral?
think
it was,
so.
It was,
No, I'm pretty sure it was just a funeral home. There is
right. So, if it's just a funeral home, would that be considered something that you legally have to tell future occupants of the property?
I don't think it would be the same, but it's not required in that state to do anything, so they probably just
Well, no,
I'd
So-
want to know.
you can Google the address.
I can understand
right?
the argument.
Well, they didn't have Google back then.
You can
Yeah, exactly.
you can look
I
it
can
up.
understand the argument that you might want to know that kind of stuff. That it used to be a funeral parlor or so. I can absolutely understand that people have a right to know if someone was murdered or if a serious crime was committed on your property, especially you're going to purchase it. Renting, you should probably know about renting too, but especially when it comes to purchasing. But I don't know. Again, I don't know a great deal as a case, so I don't know where it's going to go in the future. I also, just on another question I've got, is what the hell does a funeral parlor have to do with anywhere being haunted?
I have the answer. to that.
Seg, you have to keep watching. You have to see what Ed came up with.
I have the same question about
You're gonna enjoy.
about cemeteries.
Of course,
honestly,
is Ed and Lorraine Warren, of course. Yeah.
Oh, this is the all timer. This is the greatest hits. You'll love this.
Yeah,
Real
they'll
quick.
tell us.
Real quick, Seg, do you have the same question about graveyards? Because I have that question too.
Yep. No.
Yeah.
I've talked about this in my videos before, where I'll wrap it up quickly. But it's like there's no, when I say law, I mean LORE. There's no consistent law about where the fuck these. Can I swear on this podcast, by the way?
Yeah,
you can.
It's Chris's.
Where
I
the
don't care.
motherfucking ghosts
It's
are supposed to be.
ours. It's our podcast. What are you talking about, Chris's? Say whatever you want, Seg.
So, 1 minute it's the law is that it's where they died. The next it's where they're buried. Then it's going to be where a traumatic event happened in their life, and they're for some reason going back there. I mean, if you listen to the stories of fucking Al Capone or Elvis Presley, they're haunting about 50 different places.
For sure.
So it really just comes down to the only real consistency I can see is it's whenever someone wants to host a ghost for whatever the reason is, usually for monetary reasons, that's the only consistency I can see on why a ghost haunts somewhere, because it can literally be for any reason. And, ultimately the reason, if there is such a thing as ghosts, we don't know, do we? That we don't know. So we're just making it up as we go along.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're going to say now that's another one, isn't it? It's one thing if it's where you're laid to rest, and then where you died. The one I can understand the most is where you died. I can understand that one probably the most in my head. Or where something traumatic happened, I think is nonsense. But if we're now going to introduce where you were prepared for your funeral, for that very, very short space of time between your life and death, that is going to have something to do with a haunting. It makes even less sense to me.
Oh, Ed Warren prepared for you, Seg.
Yeah, it will. He will have an answer for you.
God.
The contradictions continue.
Well, it also there are theories of the land even before whatever property was.
Yeah, that's another one. Yeah, we know about native burial ground, or if a war happened on the land, which I always think is a really funny one when they talk about with Gettysburg in America, because if you go back in British history, the chances are a battle happened.
Terrence Field attacked.
over thousands of years of history in that place, with all the different invasions, all the different rural tribal, so many battles happened and death happened in that very small island. No one ever talks about any of that. But Gettysburg, on the other hand, we hear cannons going off, phantom cannons, and all that kind of bollock. Anyway,
maybe the British handled the senselessness of war with a better aplomb than us Americans did. I don't know.
Maybe.
I mean,
yeah, I'm gonna go with no.
I mean, listen, if I died in Gettysburg, I'd want to stay. So I would just.
I can verify that now.
I would still be hanging out.
Let's continue.
Seg, I used to love you so much.
I've been hearing that a lot lately.
I'm kidding.
There were over 22 windows. Then there were 2 more bedrooms. Kelly and my daughter and other niece slept in the other one.
Herman, although your children told you they heard strange sounds and noises and they saw ghosts, you didn't believe them at first?
No, I didn't believe them. I didn't believe in ghosts. I thought that they were things of imagination. I'd always been taught that. My oldest boy, Stephen,
Wasn't
came
Jesus
to me
a
the day
ghost?
we moved into the house, and he said, "We
No.
have to leave here immediately. The house is evil.
Isn't he one now?
Something bad's going to happen."
Maybe.
Today."
Holy
I
Spirit.
told him the houses could not be evil because I didn't believe they could.
What changed your mind?
My mind was changed over a year later when Kelly and Trish moved in with us.
She's
One
holding
night
his
after a
rosaries
date,
like she
Kelly
might
came
get
into the house.
molested right
Kelly's
now.
your niece.
Yes, Kelly is right beside me. She came in from a date, and she
Don't
tried to
laugh
go
at that.
into her bed, and something started happening
Evil.
to her, and she came to our bedroom where I was sleeping, and she said, Aunt Carmen, come quick, it's coming again, it's happening again. I grabbed my
Bad
phone,
choice of words. Bad choice of
Yeah,
words.
totally.
And I'm saying to
My mind went right there.
put
Yeah.
all of these ghost stories to rest. I've
Hold
Shame
the
on
shattered
you
line
guys.
by a
here
ghost.
with
Did I just
ghost
read that
stories. I
right?
didn't believe in
Yeah,
them. I'd
yeah.
never seen anything, and I thought it was all because it was a former funeral home.
Now, Kelly, you're the niece. You came to live with your aunt.
I'm just pausing because of how uncomfortable that face is right
Well,
now.
first of all, if this happened to me, I would not be on national television talking about it. I just want to
Right?
say that right then and there.
There's-
Like, there's no way.
Maybe the catering was really good. I still
I think
swear by that.
I feel like the kids were forced to do this, by the way, but we'll explore further.
Well, especially if it's not true.
You say you were
Imagine
molested by
sitting
an
up there
entity.
and
Tell me
saying this
about
stuff.
it.
Well, it all started when I
Okay, I got to stop again because this goes back to what we just talked about a second ago. I'm sorry, Sig. I'm not going to keep you for 3 hours here, but the we talked earlier how she might have been molested by the son.
Mhm.
Is
There's
there any-
speculation.
is there any thought or speculation in the process of this whole thing was invented to explain away why she might have some kind of damage to her person in that manner?
I think that's discussed because it's also discussed Stephen, the boy who is accused of doing it, what else he was accused of and where he ended up and stuff. I'm pretty sure it's reported that he was admitted to a psych hospital.
Yeah, that's dark. So this may have been all invented. I mean, there's all kinds of theories I can come up with, all invented
Like,
to pay for
And it
cancer
sounds like it's the mom's fault.
care.
Yeah, and again, we have the psychology wasn't the focus when it should have been.
Yeah.
And then I think psychology that definitely should be a focus from what we see in the show. I'll continue.
This was psychology in the 80s, just FYI.
Oh yeah.
Daytime television.
It's okay. Take
Kelly
your time.
came in from a date, and she went into her bedroom and she tried to lay in bed, and she felt something come up underneath the covers towards her, and it was pulling at her undergarments and touching her in her private area. She reached over for her rosary, and the
Stop
cross
it for
was
sake,
on.
please.
Pause. Is that her aunt?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Why don't they just fucking leave? Or like take a moment when you see your niece is that distressed, why don't you just say, sorry guys, like we might come back later and all the rest of it, but obviously this isn't good for her. I know, like, your TV execs might get a bit pissed off and the audience might get a bit pissed off, but this isn't right. This isn't good. Like,
Agreed.
that's fucked.
Yeah, she's like
I
crying and
think-
looks traumatized.
Well,
I think
mean,
it's legitimate, the
even
traumatization, by the way. I just don't think it's ghost. Go ahead.
Take it back.
No,
Like,
because I'm looking at this and I'm thinking the niece here, who's the victim, that looks very genuine to me. I don't think that's an act.
Yep.
But
I
I
agree.
get the feeling that the aunt here either doesn't get the gravity of what is happening here, and she's able to very easily, from the looks of things anyway, and it might be a bit harsh to say this, I don't know, but she's able to compose herself and just tell everyone what happened, because that's obviously what the producers of the show want. We need to hurry this along. We can't have, like, it's a good screenshot to have someone crying, but then at some point we need to hurry this story along, and people need to tell us what's happening. Now, I can't tell if that is just some editing that maybe
You'll be able to tell in a minute.
Yeah,
You'll be
wait
able
till
to
you
tell
see
in a
what's coming.
minute.
Yeah.
But the other thing is go back to even when this happened and she came to her and said this happened. Wouldn't you then leave then? I'd be out. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Out of the house. Yeah. She
Yeah.
argues, they say that, and she argues that they couldn't afford to.
I
Which
think
then in turn
Stevie-
leads to the argument of them needing money.
I think Stevie will
understand
agree.
that, but like, I understand that's all difficult and all the rest of it, but like, it's a bit more difficult when someone purchases a property rather than rents. It's a lot
Yeah,
easier
agreed. Mhm.
True.
to if it's that traumatizing.
right.
If what you're saying is that true, and there's a supernatural entity molesting you
Right.
or molesting family members,
You move. Yeah.
you leave. You got
you
no
leave.
commitments there.
Right.
The absolute worst, you might have like agreed to a 1-year lease and you got to break the lease after, a bit of time. Don't get me wrong, that can suck, but it's not like you own a property and you got to start thinking of like mortgages and,
Yeah,
how
I would
much
just leave.
you've lost into the house and all the rest of it. Like, it's not the same.
It was easier to break a lease back at this time in America than it is now.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Like, it was easier to get away with that. There are like background checks for that now. But
Okay.
Stevie, you would
Mhm.
agree probably if you watch the mother talk, it really sounds like she's one of many other people who've been with the Warrens where they have a strict almost script they go by. And I think Seg was alluding to that. It sounds like she knows exactly beat for beat what she wants to say.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
I
she's
can
gonna say
agree with
things.
that.
Yeah, she's gonna say some things as we get through this video with such certainty. It sounds like it's Ed Warren speaking through her.
Also, just to play devil's advocate on her behalf for a tiny bit, she also, I'm pretty sure by this point, had been reiterating this so much it was almost like programmed in her. Not saying that makes it true or anything, but I'm just saying that maybe by this point it was just coming out of her like a robot.
I
And
thought you were gonna say she's
also,
so drunk.
and also the producers of the show were probably telling her like, be dramatic and be like
Oh,
this
yeah.
and
Of
do
course.
this and
Oh,
say
for
this.
sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She wants to
So-
sell the story. All right, let's
Actually,
continue.
when you first brought it up, I thought you were saying like, why don't they just like walk off stage because she's clearly this upset.
That's kind
Like,
of what she's
said-
saying.
Yeah.
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 Okay, well then it switched to why didn't they leave the house? So I was like, wait.
Well, because
Both are valid.
like,
Yeah.
I brought it back there.
All right,
Well,
we're going to
Thanks
continue.
for confusing me.
Sorry.
That's when she got up and ran into the room with me. A few other things happened to her. I'll let her tell you about them if she can.
The covers would be pulling off the bed. There would be voices, a lot of scratching on the walls. The bed didn't always do it. It did it more in Aunt Carm's room than anywhere, but it would, like, breathe, kind of like.
Kelly, what did the operation look like? Did it, did you see
didn't
a
have
Good
a-
correction,
it was
Sally.
a black mass.
just a black
Yeah.
mass? Was there a hand? You said you felt something.
I felt it. You couldn't see it. I couldn't see it because it was behind me, but it was like a huge. It was just freezing cold. It was like a hand on my back, and it was
Behind
just
her,
like
but she
when I
couldn't
was laying on
see
my
it,
this side.
but it's a black
and this
mass.
bra strap would always be pulled down, and I always slept in my undercloak, my bra and stuff went out the bed. That's just, and it would be being tugged down. And you'd pull it back up, and it usually, when you're laying on that side, that just doesn't happen. And I got up to get the rosary, and I laid back down in the bed. And when I did that, my hand, I was holding the rosary in my hand.
And you're
it
really
was
trying
like
not to
something
pause
was,
too much.
Trying to open my hand up. And it would start pulling on my covers.
Just real quick, very short. How many of you hold a rosary right next to your bed when you were in your late teens?
All
I
the
didn't even
time.
know what it was till I was an adult.
Really? All the time?
Yeah. It wasn't
I
in
just
my
wanna
religious
say,
upbringing.
Is this the one that was allegedly sexually assaulted by?
Yeah, I think that's what
Yes.
we said. Yeah.
So for me, I agree with Seg. This is raw emotion, but I wonder if she's telling
yeah.
the story of what really happened to her.
That's
by
what I
her-
wonder.
That's
by
what we're thinking.
by her
Yeah.
cousin. And
Yeah.
I don't, I'm just my opinion because it sounds like she's telling what happened to her.
Yeah,
which
it
is-
does.
We agree with you. Absolutely.
Well, that the interesting part on this is like, is she? Because when something traumatic like this happens, who knows what that does to your mind, and who knows what that does to your memories, and who knows what
yeah.
that
Yeah,
can
good
do
point.
to protect yourself from something like that. Who
Right.
knows if she might actually believe this, and it might come from as well that maybe her own family members said no. If what I'm hearing is correct, is that another family member allegedly was the actual culprit of molesting her.
Yes.
The other family members could be like trying to protect them and just sort of saying, no, that didn't
100%.
happen. What could have possibly happened? And then the best they could come up with was a ghost. And I don't know, maybe,
really believe that.
Yeah.
maybe
definitely.
that's a way of convincing her to go with this whole narrative, which is, I would say that's absolutely bonkers, but
Well, no, I mean,
strange
Not
things
out of
have
the
happened
question.
in some of these paranormal cases.
she already has this I will do everything possible, you know, like to save my children, protect my children, you know what I mean? So and the way she's running the show, you know what I mean? It does sound like, you know, that it was kind of forced into her head, brainwashed, if you will.
Yeah.
Also, the ghostwriter Ray Garden, Stevie.
Yep.
Rest in peace, by the way.
Traveler effects.
His main issue was that he interviewed them all separately and their stories didn't add up. Like they would all mess up key details, which kind of lends a lot to that theory that they were trying to turn this into a ghost thing when it was just a regular messed up thing, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
This has become a lot more of a psychological evaluation than I think we planned on tonight.
It hasn't got to the funny part yet.
Yeah, it's like a lot
No,
of
I
fun
was
stuff
like,
coming up.
I don't know how I'm not going to make jokes.
And then
Yeah.
after that happened, I got up and ran into Aunt Carmen's room, and she got up to come in with me. She brought her Bible. This had happened before, something similar. And she didn't believe me. She just bring the Bible in, and she would sit down, and she would start telling me the Hail Mary out the rosaries and
Ghosts
reading the
don't need,
Bible
like,
and trying to
religious
calm
people,
me
by the
and
way,
talk to me
or
and tell me I
demons.
was just having nightmares or something.
Always
I truly
religious
didn't
nut
believe her.
job.
I thought that the older boy had gotten her all excited about the stories of the funeral home and the ghost he had seen. When I went into her bedroom, I sat with her and I was opening it and reading from the Bible, and she wrapped around me. She was so excited. Can you feel it coming? Can you feel it coming, Aunt Carmen? It's coming.
Don't
and
say it,
I
Vic.
pushed her back. And the third
I'm
time
not
she
making
did
that
I
joke
pushed
again.
her
I
back,
just want to be
saw
clear.
An arm, the knuckles, the joints, and the ribs.
Every single
go under
person in
her
the
long
audience is thinking
nightshirt,
that.
up over
Yeah.
her breast, and
Hey,
back
hey,
through the
pause for
wall.
just a sec.
At that point, I realized something was going on.
Sorry, I told Seg this would be 45 minutes. I'm so sorry, Seg.
I only have a quick point to make. Okay, so Carmen right now, she is describing how she witnessed what looked like the structure of a hand underneath her niece's shirt. And the reason I want to talk about that is because we discussed this a little bit before off camera about how the Snedekers really liked the movie The Entity. And the reason I associate the two is because that movie was super, super famous for a specific scene for visual effects where they showed Barbara Hershey and her breast, her bare breast,
Yes.
and there were fingerprints in it. And a lot of the speculation during this exact moment was they were saying that Carmen took that directly from the movie and just changed it to suit their story.
Yeah. And it's
Hollywood
twisted
is
because
nothing but plagiarism.
for
Nothing but
them
plagiarism
it's
in Hollywood.
for them is here's a good thing we can use for our story. For the viewer, it's like, hey, look, that checks out. That's the same thing that happened in the Entity story. It's sick.
Exactly,
I hate
exactly.
it.
That happens a lot.
I hate it.
Must be real. I saw it on TV.
It's the most
Exactly.
movie I've ever seen.
And I grabbed her, ran into what used to be the chapel to use the phone. And
She's
there's
really
where I
sure to
called.
mention what the runes were.
All right, Al, you say strange things were happening to you and Carmen at night
Here we
when you
go.
were in bed. In order to fully understand, we want you to show us what happened. We have a bed here today.
This
It
is-
was about the size of the bed, which was in the house. So we're going to set the scene.
Okay.
You're
Pause.
so wrong.
What the fuck is
You're so
happening?
wrong.
We can
Is
laugh
this
at this,
real?
but let's take a
Are you guys
serious
like,
look.
was this like a parody made
No,
back
they're
in the
being
day?
serious.
You guys winding me up.
It gets worse than this, Seg. This episode gets worse.
I'm pretty sure it said on the screen that they had been molested, even though they haven't said it out loud. It said they were molested by ghosts too.
Molested and sodomized.
And sodomized. So you have people, and you're pretending to take them seriously, and you say, okay, so you've been sodomized and sexually assaulted.
Can you
by
imagine the
ghosts.
face right now under his mask?
Show us how that went. Show us what that was like.
Can you just, who in their right mind would think this was appropriate?
Love finds a way.
I can't believe
finds a way.
3 minutes before these two
I don't
fuckwits
think
were about to go in
everybody
bed,
knew.
there was a woman fucking crying her eyes out.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh
But
my
I don't think
God.
everybody knew that they were going to do that. I think
Right.
the
I've
show.
heard that, but look how
I love-
readily they get into bed.
So
They're
wait,
so
love
ready
the
for
cat-
this.
Sorry. Are you saying that the other people on stage before the show started didn't know this was going to happen? Is that what you mean?
That's what's
There's a
said.
bed
The
right
bed's
there.
there.
Yeah,
They
the
had to
bed
know.
was
They
always
had to
like
know.
I
the
think
casual
I don't know
pan
about
over
the
to the
people.
bed
on stage. I
Incredible.
think some of the people on stage didn't know. I don't
Maybe
know.
they
if
didn't
Are
know
there,
when they
like,
showed up.
has any,
So-
any of the
Didn't the, no,
family ever
didn't the
talked
bed get pulled
about
out
this?
from behind the
Oh,
wall?
might
Yeah,
have.
a PA's probably ran it out on the stage from
But
yeah,
stage
they're so
it was
right,
not
ready.
visible
They're
yet.
so ready. There's-
and cue the bed, and 3, 2,
Right.
and pan over to the bed.
Well, obviously, these two fuckwits, because
Yeah,
they just
they
got straight away.
seem
Oh,
to
yeah,
know.
this is the bit where
Right.
we're going to
Okay,
the
wait,
bed.
wait. Maybe
Yeah.
there was a rehearsal and they didn't know before the rehearsal, and that's why they
Yeah.
so readily walked
It
over.
could be. It
No,
could
I
be.
think some people knew and some people didn't know. You know
Okay.
what
I
I
think
They
mean?
must have
knew.
known. The way they got up was like, yeah,
That was like
this is what
rehearsed.
we know
It's
we're
time.
There was no look
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
why is there a fucking bed there? Or, oh, I didn't think we were actually going to do this. Or, oh, that's what
Yeah.
the bed looks like. It was like, oh, no. Sorry.
No.
I just can't believe, what the fuck is going to happen next?
Exactly.
Seg's reaction, that loud, oh my God, that's all of our reactions when we first saw that scene. Seg. People watching at home for the first time has had that reaction with you. Yeah, there's more. Let's see what being sodomized by a ghost is like. Oh my God.
But neither of them have alleged
Right.
to be molested by the ghost, right?
They
Both
are.
of them. Both
They
of
both
them.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is what that
so
is.
this
Yeah.
It was on the
molested
screen.
everyone in this house.
Yeah, this ghost
Barely.
is a regular
I mean,
The
Father
parents
Joe.
and the niece. The
Getting
parents and the niece.
molested.
Oh, the one son never had it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, it must have been a long time since I watched A Haunting in Connecticut, because I don't remember this.
They don't
don't
cover
remember
this
it
in the
either.
movie. It's not in the movie. It's not
The
at
worst
all.
thing I remember from that is a shower curtain suffocating.
Okay, so in the movie, they never, ever, ever one time mention any kind of ghost
Sodomy. Yeah.
essay or anything like that. That is not part of the movie.
It was
By the way,
PG-13.
sorry if I'm saying the
though.
word, the M word too many. I'll try and stick with essay.
You're fine.
I don't want this to get banned, but fucking hell. So yeah, that's why I don't remember at all in the movie where this was a thing.
It's not.
No,
It's
No,
not.
it
it
got
was
cleaned up.
it was PG-13, so they tried to kind of
Right.
appeal to a broader audience, and they went
Yes.
with stuff
Right.
that would freak kids out, basically.
It
I
wasn't in the
actually remember-
documentary either before it.
I remember it being it's not brilliant, but I remember it being a decent movie. Like
It was. Yeah. Good actors and
but-
good script and stuff.
Yeah, some
Oh.
good special effects, as I recall.
Hmm.
I'm so fascinated and scared about what's going to happen next.
Yeah, you should be. Any sane person saying.
So like, I want to make this clear as well. You're saying every person how many people lived in the house?
Not every person. The parents and
Um,
the niece.
So
Six.
these two
six
and the
people.
lady who was crying.
Yep.
Yes.
So what's clearly happened here is they were not molested. They just said they were to cover for all the other horrible shit.
I was making
that-
a bigger story. Yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
Allegedly, yeah.
There's more. There's
allegedly.
more.
Allegedly.
This might get
Yeah.
clearer for you as it gets more confusing. If that makes any sense, you'll see.
Sure.
In for the night when all of a sudden you hear music like
They're
this.
reenacting this.
What happened next?
Oh, the lights are going down. This thing is
up at night.
Is there music
Produced.
being played?
I would hear the music playing, and I would
In the
say to
book,
myself,
the music was supposed to be big band music.
and I would lie there for 5 or 10 minutes and listen to it. Along with the music, I could hear 3 or 4 voices. They were older men.
Older men.
chatting.
carnival music is not doing anything.
What do you think the music was?
It sounded like
Radio or
30s music from an old Victrola player.
He thought someone was in the house when all of this was going on, and
I used to get up every night, go down the stairs. First couple times, I would just go down and start looking. But each time I went down, I started getting more and more nervous and afraid for some reason.
This is word for word from the
baseball bat.
Amityville Horror.
Start going through the
Is it?
void,
Just about word from word, yes.
the coffin room area where the chain body
Now,
lift was.
no
and-
one is playing the radio, and the boys are asleep, and they're in their
Everybody
bed.
would be sound asleep. It got to the point where I got so afraid when I was going down there, I started bringing a gun with me. And one night I woke Carmen up. I said, Carmen, I said, I got to stop doing this. I'm afraid I'm going to shoot one of our children.
Oh my God.
he was really afraid.
I'm sorry,
that
I
because
still don't
he'd be
understand
standing
why
up
they
the
stayed in
room
the
when
house
he'd
so
go
long.
around the corner.
Yeah.
He would fire.
They'll be
This is
asked.
really
They'll be
happening
asked.
himself, and he'd come back up and to get into bed.
That's
Now,
not the
when
worst
we
for
used
me.
to
The
get
worst
into
is
bed,
coming
it
too.
only happened to us not at the same.
Separately.
Yeah, we were
Separately,
never
not at the
awake
same
at the
time.
same time, but the bed would begin to vibrate. And it would be a gentle vibration at first, and it got worse and
And the
worse.
other person
There were
wouldn't
other
wake up?
things that happened. The bed as Kelly said,
I
had a
wouldn't.
pulse,
On the record, I
a
would not.
heartbeat.
Like a heart-
I'm a heavy sleeper too.
And when you were in your bed, it would come and lift the covers and tug at them.
But there was a
And pull at
pulse
them.
and a heartbeat in the bed.
In the bed. And,
Of the
and
ghost.
you could feel it. Someone else could go up and touch it.
Seg
Pause.
is calling for a timeout. Yeah. He used the American football timeout, so that's how you know he's serious.
I don't want to keep. First of all, we can go as long as we fucking want with this. Forget about the 45-minute thing. This is. I had no idea that this was going to be what we were talking about when I. I'm so glad this is happening. Why? My biggest question right now is why do you need a fucking bed to say any of this? Like you can tell the story without getting in a bed.
It's
On
insulting.
stage, in the
If
Sally,
it's true, it's insulting.
Sally Jessy Raphael show.
Why is the bed made? Like, there's a whole duvet on there and everything. Like,
There could have been a bare
you could have
mattress.
just had the mattress, and a pillow.
But like when she kind of goes, "Oh, I'm going to get up and show you what it's like when bed sheets are tucked." We know. We all own a fucking bed. Like we all sleep in bed. We all have bed sheets. We know what it is. You don't need to show us. Like you could have just sat on your fucking chair next to your niece who's distraught and like carried on supporting her and just tell us what it's like when a fucking bed sheets are pulled.
Can I play devil's advocate one more time?
Oh God.
How can you play
Please
devil's
do.
advocate with this, Stevie?
Okay.
I gotta hear this.
I want you to
I
think
would like
about
to hear this. Yeah.
I want you to think about the target audience of this show. They are
we'll meet them. We will
women
meet them in a
sitting
moment.
at home.
This was not Jerry
nothing to do.
Springer for most part.
They
Just
need
this
this
episode.
I like
excitement.
how you're
They
devil's-
need this
Can't play devil's
drama.
advocate here. Everyone watching this is a fucking idiot.
Hey, wait! I stayed up from school and watched this sometimes.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
That's what I watched when I was sick too.
We're all doing it now.
I
Just
actually-
I
FYI.
don't want to put words in your mouth, Stevie. Finish your sentence. I just thought it was really funny. Well, what's the actual devil's advocate in this one?
Yeah.
Just the demographic, the target audience for this specific show were middle-aged women sitting home bored, needing this excitement.
Oh, it's
Idiot.
exciting.
Yeah, but
Okay,
that would then
And
come
I am-
from like the show. You know
I would
what I
definitely
mean?
see this different now than when I was 10.
I am
Definitely
not a
see it.
middle-aged housewife, and I could watch this again and again. So
This
they
is
were right
This
about
one,
that.
yes. This one-
Who would have thought I'd have so much in common with middle-aged housewives?
Right?
This is awesome.
He takes
Like,
off his
I
mask.
just-
He's got curlers in his hair.
My mind is just blown. My mind is blown that there's two
I knew it would
grown
be.
adults in a bed with a studio full of people watching them. Like it's like Bert and Ernie, but
Which
Bed.
one's Bert?
They had separate beds.
Okay.
did Bert and Ernie have separate
I
beds?
never remember seeing the beds.
Yeah, they have separate beds.
Okay.
Oh, okay. In my head, they had the same bed.
But so did every couple in the
I could do
50s.
a British reference, but you guys won't get it. It's like Morecambe and
And-
Wise. If
and
there's
now we
any
have,
people of a certain age, you'll understand that reference.
Lucy and Ricky.
Fol- Folks, we had a Mandela effect in this show just now, if you
Did
were
we?
paying attention. Yes. We went from Bert and Ernie slept in the same bed to now they have two beds. So that's a Mandela effect.
Ooh.
I
Congratulate
guess.
everyone. Yeah.
Uh,
I'm not looking it up.
a whole
Mandela effect.
new episode for that one.
I still got it in my head that they slept in the same bed.
Do we ever
I
see
think
them
they-
sleep?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they
Yeah.
put eye patches on, don't they? Put like the eye
At
covers
bedtime
on.
and
don't
stuff.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
you're
eye mask.
right.
Muppets sleep all the time. They're just like us.
Because
I
remember the
gotta know what happens
controversy
now.
where
I could-
parents were like worried that their kids were gonna think they were gay, and I was like, I always thought
kinda
they were
remember that.
brothers, but I think they each had a single bed, and they were next to each other, but it wasn't one bed.
Kristen, I felt that argument.
You're
Felt.
welcome.
Okay.
I think Perfect Strangers was a spin-off of the Bert and Ernie segment.
Bert and Ernie
I'm
were
dating.
related, though. Supposedly perfect strangers were cousins. Very distant.
We're dating ourselves now with this, so we've lost the core youth audience.
Let's hit play.
Not lived in the house, and we had this thing that would walk around the bed, It had really small feet, like a cat. We didn't have a cat. It would
Thank you
walk
for
around
that.
the bed, and if it sat down, it would be as an adult male.
My cat
sitting,
feels
the
like an adult
impression
sitting
of the
down when
bed.
he
The
sits
feet were
down.
light, but the weight of what
The
happened
feet
on the
were
bed.
about the size of this, a cat's feet.
Al, you
Maybe
said
that
something
wasn't
else
feet.
happened to you that is very difficult to talk about even today. Can you share it with us?
I never
Back
noticed
in the bed! Why is she back in the bed?
We were lying in bed. Carmen had.
It's already there, Say. You gotta use it.
I felt this strange sensation coming over my body. It started at my feet and started climbing up through my body. Before I had a chance to reach over to Carmen to tell her something was wrong, I was froze. I couldn't move. And then I felt this stinging penetration in my anal area.
I have a
And
problem with this. We'll talk about it later.
I
Can I
was trying
just
to
say something?
scream, to cry out
He
to Carmen
totally looks like he's acting.
to help me somehow.
It's not.
And I couldn't
He's
move.
going through paces here.
After a while, I don't know how long, it had gone away. There was no more sensation. I woke.
Does
Carmen
every
up.
man in
Carmen, I
Connecticut
think
sound like
I was
this?
just sodomized by this demon.
This happened to me as well, Sally. It was a tedious kind of pain that happened. It was horrible pain. It was so penetrating and so much pain. There was no
I want to make a bad
pleasure
joke
in this.
right now so
And
bad.
when it would take me sexually,
I stepped out of that
it
10
would
minutes
laugh
ago.
with such pleasure. It enjoyed what it was doing to me, and I was so terrified I couldn't move. I could.
The
It was
drama.
the most crippling thing I've ever been through in my life, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone.
Now, Michael, you actually saw ghosts? What did they look like to you?
I thought she was
Where
like,
the hell did he come from?
See it in different shapes. The first time I
80s,
seen the
man.
ghost, it appeared in.
And you know what? Can I just say
Oh,
something? Why are
Yeah.
they talking like why would you tell us in front of your kid? First of all, national time. Okay, go ahead, Sag.
yeah.
No, sorry, I'm just
Yeah.
going to say, I think someone, I'm not sure who it was, someone said this before, it was like just a moment ago. The two on the bed, the aunt, uncle, whatever, like, they are not convincing at all.
Right.
Like,
At all.
not like that just sounds like a story they've said in their head 100 times and they just recited.
Yeah.
There was no level of
Emotional
Or-
response.
No emotion.
anything. It was just a story that probably Ed and Lorraine Warren told them and they have recited.
Yeah, you know, I was just laying there and the thing sodomized me.
Yeah, it's like, oh,
that's
I
how
it
it
was
came out.
sensational.
He's
I was lying there
from a
and I
man-
felt like a sharp pain in my anal rectal area, and it wasn't very nice.
That's going to come up again for me.
But then it went
You guys
away, and
wait
I
for that.
just went back to sleep.
Yeah,
It's like, what are we doing here?
He's
Especially
acting.
with your
I
fucking
said
niece
earlier.
who's like crying her eyes out, and it does seem very like something actually happened to her.
Yeah.
And like
And
as a
sorry,
grown ass
is this
man,
the
you
alleged
could've-
guy that may have done something to her?
He's not here.
He wasn't on the show. Yeah.
Right.
He's at the
Who's
hospital, the mental
who's this guy?
hospital.
that's
The
the youngest
cancer.
brother.
Yeah.
Right.
Didn't he have the cancer?
No, okay, so
Or
the
am
one
I
that
wrong?
had
The other one.
cancer, Steven, the one that's not present, he's the one that had cancer, and then his younger brother is Michael, this kid right here. It was
Okay.
two boys that were Carmen's sons, and then I think she had the others were nieces and nephews that were in the house, or she had the niece on the show, and then another one.
So in the movie though, Steven is the one that is affected by all this stuff.
Right. And I
if
think
was
the reason
anything
he's not on the
happening to
show is because of where he is at
Do
this
you think they
time
changed
period.
the roles of the family members in real time, in real life?
But like,
That's what it sounds like you're saying.
are there like reports of him really what they showed in the movie? Like, are there reports of stuff really happening to him, or was he the only one that nothing happened to?
No, he's the one it started with. He was the first, Steven, the one that's not present, he was the first to see and hear things. He started hearing a voice, and then he started seeing things, and he told his mom she didn't believe him. And then when his brother was away when this started, it was just Carmen and the son Steven in the house, with the dad occasionally coming because he was working or something in another area. And so it was mostly just Carmen and Steven, and then the niece and another niece. And then when the younger brother, Michael, this guy came home, Steven started talking to him about it and telling him, hey, I'm hearing and seeing this stuff and mom doesn't believe me. And then Michael started hearing and seeing it and they both told her, hey, we're hearing and seeing this stuff. She continued not to believe them. And then, according to their story, when they both were assaulted, that's when they started believing it.
And then we might have said this, but I just have one more quick question. Why did the nieces live? Why were there two nieces that lived with them?
There was a family situation. I think Carmen was either helping out by housing them or they were helping Carmen. It was something like that.
Okay, I was just curious.
And sorry, the eldest Stephen, I think you said he's the one with had the health problems.
Yes, the one that's not
he's
present.
also the one that supposedly was the assaulter.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And also,
sorry, what was his health problems? Like, were they really
Cancer.
severe?
Lymphoma.
Yeah, I think it was non-Hodgkin's or regular. Yeah.
So I mean, I'm just asking the question here. Would that maybe go against the theory? I don't know that he might have been too weak or not in the right frame of mind. Like he might have just been battling survival. Then to
okay, so it's funny you say that because
like
one of the things was he was supposed to, in the movie they addressed this. I don't know if this was a real life thing, but in the movie they tell him with the drugs they're giving him for the cancer treatment, he might experience hallucinations and to let them know. And that was one of Carmen's arguments was, oh, it's the drugs causing you to hallucinate.
Right.
Also, did Steven have the drug problem alleged?
I think
someone
so.
had a drug problem.
I don't remember for sure, but I'm pretty sure
I feel like it's all in one with this guy. He's got all these things.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that wasn't disclosed that came out later.
Yeah.
Now, for clarity for the viewer,
where do we get the information or the alleged information of an alleged assault perpetrated by Steven? Like where?
Online articles. I don't have the sources, but it's other people that have written about the case have reported on it. So I'll have to find the actual sources, but mostly just people retelling the story.
So it's hunches. It sounds like hunches to me. Sounds like the best hunch, the best belief based on the facts.
Yeah. It was all a lot of speculation. That's why I said it was alleged and it was speculated that he was doing this, and that's why they came up with the story.
Right.
All right.
Remember to put a disclaimer on this at the beginning, Chris.
Yeah, all opinion, all alleged,
going to be a
all
disclaimer.
speculation.
It's all opinion. We don't know. I don't know, but like
it's
all
Beardo's fault at the end there.
Stranger things have happened when you hear some of these stories and all the rest of it. I've got to the point now doing this long enough where I'm like, nothing will surprise me.
Right. Yeah.
I will say though, that I've taken care of somebody with cancer. And I know that when you're on all those drugs and stuff, you are so tired, you can't even brush your teeth. Right. So I don't know when allegedly these assaults took place.
Yeah, timelines matter.
Yeah, because if it was during treatment, if it was during this and that, yes, maybe the drugs could make you hallucinate, but also
could have happened before he was even diagnosed.
Right. I think if I remember correctly, I think by the time this stuff was happening, he was in the clear. He was recovering.
Okay.
I think. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that he was actually not suffering or not dealing with it anymore.
I recall that from In a Dark Place. It was either well after, I think that tracks, or before the treatments. But I can't remember. Before the treatments might have been the movie, but I think the book was after the treatments.
Yeah.
So many inconsistencies. I hate it. It's hard to know things.
By the way, Seg, you have not seen it all. We have 20 more minutes to go. You will have seen it all after this episode, I promise.
Let's do it, baby.
Before I hit play, I just want to make it clear to the viewing audience, the kid on the screen right now, for anyone confused,
is not
the
Steven.
80s.
Is Michael.
Is the 80s.
Is not Steven.
Up on the ceiling, looking down at my bed. And the second time I seen it, it appeared as my little sister. The lights were taken out of the sockets on the ceiling. And I looked over because they were flashing on and off, and there was no bulbs in there. And I looked over, and it looked like my sister, and she was laughing.
By the way, we laughed at this guy's outfit, but if it was tailored better, he'd be pulling off crazy drip.
And I went.
Yeah, I would.
Sure.
Them suspenders.
Where my mom and cousin were, and I asked them, if Jenny
You guys
just
ever
came
watched
running through,
Quantum
and they
Leap?
said, no, she's been in bed all
Yeah.
night.
What?
Yeah.
5 minutes ago, she was down
It's
in my
him,
room trying to
surely.
turn off the lights.
Is this him?
Sam Beckett?
It had
Yeah.
several voices.
Scott Bakula.
On the
Scott
voice of
Bakula.
one of the children
Yeah, the character,
to
I
come
think,
into the
might have been
room.
Sam
It would
Beckett.
say, "Mommy, mommy," and it would be the sweet voice of your child, and you turn, and there would be
Hold
this dark
those-
presence of,
hold those
of a
beads.
smoke figure just
The
standing.
bed is still there. No one took it
And other
away.
times it had the deep raspy
This is so
voice that would
theatrical.
Insult and,
We want you to
and
think
shout
about that bed.
profane things and
So
insult you.
she's just
It was
ugh.
horrible.
Ugh.
I don't know why they keep putting the text up there like we're
Hear
going to
more
forget.
about this bizarre
Right.
story, and we'll hear just how
It's for everyone
desperate
just tuning in.
the Snedekers were trying to get rid of
Can you
the
imagine just
And how
turning into
desperate I am to get out of
Neighbors?
hosting this.
Yeah.
police. No one was willing to help, but they did find a solution. We'll find out what it was.
I mean, no,
Trying to be serious.
Here they come.
Oh, the bed. We went back to the bed.
You could have at least made
That's
it
the
again.
real star of the show right there is the bed. And the carnival music.
4 years ago, she moved into a house that was formerly
Audience
a funeral
time.
parlor. And Carmen says it was haunted and terrible things happened to her and her family.
Love the audience.
Carmen, I have to ask you, why did you just pick up your family and leave?
Sally, that would have been the first choice we would have had, but every time we did leave the house, it would follow us. I'd go to work, and the computer system would go down, or the phone system would.
I want you all to remember this part.
Hold on.
It
I just
follows them everywhere they go.
I'll never forget.
Does
That
anybody else
suggests
see gray?
it's attached to
square?
them, right?
Yes.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
But
Does anybody else see a gray square on the screen and a gray rectangle across the top?
Yeah.
yeah, isn't that the blur you put out there, Chris?
No, I don't know how to make that go. I get that every time I share a screen, and I don't know how to make
Yeah.
it go away.
Oh,
That's
okay.
fine.
I was just curious.
The rectangle's
I can
us.
still see it.
I
I
think.
can
Yeah.
see it. But
Do
I
you
just
see
wanted-
us?
Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
see us.
So you're talking about the rectangle, this thing up here?
Yeah, like just
Yeah.
below us, and then there's a big
Yeah.
gray square over here. So I just want to make
Yeah,
sure.
I'm just gonna say I'm blurring out very sensitive material.
Yeah.
There you go.
Demons did it.
Demons. Until I
Demons
get
did
better
it.
software to do this with. Sorry, guys. Sorry, Sig. I'm Bush League here, man.
Yeah.
No, don't apologize to me. It's fine.
The people at work are the ones that gave me the phone number to the people that finally helped me. My husband went to work. His
people.
car, he parked and went inside the building. As he did, the car started back up and drove into the building.
Fact check.
We
Sig,
didn't
you need
know
a
that
record
she
of
was
this?
say to the people at work.
I will check it. I do not have record of that though. I've never heard of that though. That's not in the book or anything.
And were they all affected?
We have 4 children and 2 nieces, and everyone was affected, along with
And
some
where are
friends.
the other children now?
They're young. There's a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old that I want to protect, and the oldest one's in school in Massachusetts.
They were kind of
In
scared or
school.
nervous, to be honest.
Oh,
School.
terrified.
One of them was given drugs or taken to a psychiatric hospital.
Yes, that was the oldest boy. I didn't believe that anything he was telling me was true. I asked his oncologist who had been treating him if that could be a side effect from the
They
cancer
gave
treatment he
Steven
was
the old
receiving.
Chuck
They said
Cunningham
no, so
syndrome
I
for
took
this.
him to a
He
psychologist.
went upstairs and never came back.
Was there any
Chuck
medical
Cunningham,
evidence
what a
that either of you
reference.
had been raped? Did you go to a
Half our
doctor
audience
and
gets
get
that, by the
physically
way.
Why
examined?
would we? I mean, we couldn't see it. How did we expect anyone else to believe us?
But you felt a stinging pain?
It wasn't like a normal rape, not person to person.
What's
type.
normal?
Carmen, there was one point where you say you actually were
Paranormal.
possessed
Going mute.
by a demonic force, and you, Al, say you witnessed it. Can you tell us about it?
This was one of the most terrifying events that happened in the house. I've drawn some sketches, if I may. We had been outside
Okay, this
sitting
gets
around.
really
The
freaking
researchers
out
were
there.
in the house, my husband, my niece, and upon going back to bed, I sat down and I was no longer in my room. I was in a dark room. I don't know if you can catch this on camera. I was in complete darkness. I couldn't feel the temperature of my
Sig's
skin.
trying to see
I
it.
couldn't hear myself speak. I couldn't see anything but blackness. I knew I was no longer in my room. The entity opened up a hole and he started shouting obscenities
Seg is calling
at
for
me, and when I
time
began
again.
He opened up a hole. Never mind. Sorry. Go ahead.
I'm really sorry to keep asking you to pause this. First of all, like,
Don't apologize. We're having fun.
I don't think I can let anything go by when they say it wasn't like a normal rape. That is the most ridiculous fucking sentence thing I've ever heard
Right.
anyone ever say in my life.
I didn't
Like, how
say
many-
anything.
How many times has poor bastard been raped? And like, what is that? Why do they all want to have some kind of like visual representation of what they're talking about? Like, literally, she said, I wasn't in my room. I was in like a black room. That's fine. That's all we need to know. We don't need to see like some weird crash drawing.
It's
which
a
I
terrible
can't really
drawing.
tell if it's because the light or because the paper or if it's just a bad drawing. But it just looks like a person around some black, pencil around the edge. Is that what I'm sort of seeing?
It looked like
Yes, I believe so.
Shaded all around, making an outline of a white figure in darkness. I guess I don't understand it either.
Did I miss it? Why are those? Did she just draw that picture?
I don't know if she just
it's
not
a
while she was
demonstration.
sitting there. Yeah, not while she was sitting there. I think she brought it from home.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
sorry, that's what I mean. Like, that's not like something like, oh, while I was passed out, I woke up from this place and this drawing was just there.
Maybe
She's
Ed
just-
did them.
I was
As
gonna
the
say
artist?
maybe she brought them and was gonna show him, like, look.
Yeah.
I just got
at
to
the picture I drew,
what I've got in
Ed.
my head is like, she's like, I've got this crazy story and all the rest of it. And the producer of the show went, that's great, but we really need to see some drawings.
Not the producers, really. This is the Warrens. Got them all over it. This has got the Warrens all over it. Do you agree,
Do
Stevie?
the Warrens come into this? Do the Warrens make an appearance?
Yes, they do. I'm so glad
This
you
is
asked.
a Warren's case.
Beyond your
Warrens.
your
It's about to
wildest
be on
dreams,
TV.
Seg.
Of course they
Beyond
do.
your wildest dreams.
You're gonna love it.
Okay, I'll
I
shut
can't
up.
do
I'll
it justice. Yeah, I can't do it justice.
Pray, the Our Father, he got worse. And he said, there's no way you could possibly believe what you've been taught as a child. I went into this place. It was called Ithram, a desert road of hot tears. And I was taken down this...
Pause!
I don't know about this either.
The desert road of hot tears?
Dream. She's dreaming. I have
What
crazy
the
dreams.
fuck
This
is
a
that?
dream.
There's no way she knows these words and these names. The
This
Warrens
is a Billy.
said that's what.
This is a
Lorraine
Billy
Warren told
Joel
her that's what
album
that is.
cover.
You guys
This is
do
Billy-
know that Ed Warren taught art class too, right?
Yeah.
That's like the
Yeah, that's
first
why I
draft
said
of
Not-
she
Silent
brought her
Hill.
drawings.
Yeah.
Yeah, not
I
very
want to
well.
show Ed my drawing.
Apparently,
He
yeah.
had to scale back his skill a little bit for this.
What are those? What are those black masses? What's that supposed to be?
Are those the fiery tears? Or,
Yeah,
or-
the
The-
I was
fiery
gonna say something very inappropriate, and I'm going.
Oh.
I already know what you're going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. They do.
A little pareidolia.
So fiery tears. I genuinely don't know what I'm looking at. What's Ithram? What is this? What's the path? What's the fucking? What is it?
Somehow
What is
she
I'm
knows.
looking at?
Somehow she just knows.
Yeah, she has all the answers.
There's no explanation for this, eh? They never
I
go
think
into
it's-
this.
I think it's a cryptocurrency, but I don't know for sure. Please don't yell at me in the comments. That was a punchline. I'm sorry in advance. Please don't yell at me, okay?
This road.
I'm not going to say
They
what I think they
represent
look like.
souls, lost souls. I could actually feel the emotion, the
They're
anger,
lost
the
souls.
hurt, the desperation.
Oh,
the
remember they
sadness,
live in a
the
funeral home. Maybe that's the
emotions.
souls.
They were all human, negative emotions. And they were palatable.
cleanup, Stevie.
They just went through my skin. I knew it. I felt such compassion for these souls. But I couldn't leave the road. I was warned against it. I was there for 8
He was
hours.
warned against it.
Has there ever been any research or anything saying, trying to find out who exactly these spirits were?
Plant.
Yes.
Yes.
We had some researchers come in on the
It was a
night
transitional
that I
plant.
discovered that there were other entities in the
When they
house.
say
I
researchers,
called
they
some
mean
people
psychics.
called the Warrens. Someone at work had
The
told
Warrens.
me that
I
she
saw it
believed the
coming.
things my children were telling me were true, and she asked me to go to Ed and Lorraine's museum with her. She gave me their number to call and make an appointment. I never did. I just kept the number in my wallet. That night I called it.
And did they help you?
They stayed with us for 9 weeks.
9 weeks?
I gotta love how
Nope.
Ed put their business card in like
And-
weird
and there was
random
also somebody
restaurants in
else who
Connecticut,
went in
and here we are
documented
now.
all this?
Their researchers, they had 3 researchers that came in the house and stayed 9.5 weeks. They worked during the day. They did not accept any pay for what they did for us. And they experienced phenomena from the very first night they walked into our house.
You know definitely that it is a male spirit?
No, there is no gender in the spirit's world. The These were
He's
called
all of a
incubus
sudden an
and
expert in the
succubus, but I'll
spirit
let
world.
the researchers tell you more about that later on.
So a genderless spirit
That's the first I've ever heard anyone say that.
sodomize these people.
She said, yeah, exactly, sodomize. But like, you know, but like, it's like the confidence she said that with.
We're kind of combining lore here. Is the problem? We went from demons to you know, just bad energies, and those are two different things.
So burning pain in the rectum. I hate that I made a fist like that. Burning pain in the rectum. So if you want to know what they felt, spread your ass cheeks apart and just point a hairdryer at your asshole. And then
I'd rather not. But like,
Are we sure they weren't experiencing hemorrhoids?
Right. Okay. And the same thing with like what the boy Michael was saying. He was saying, "Oh, my sister was in my room." First of all, how do we know it wasn't his sister? Number two, how do we know he wasn't dreaming? And how do you know that she wasn't dreaming? I've had some pretty crazy dreams. You know what I mean?
I mean, to be fair, maybe the ghost brought anal beads.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what the rosary was.
The rosary
did we have
try pulling that cross through there?
Genderless spirit, and they just like to experiment.
Did we check the basement for radon or like carbon monoxide or something?
Seriously, that was not
They're
as well detected back then, right?
That is
Right.
a debunked
Didn't know.
thing. Boom. Right there.
Boom.
Radon.
Radon.
Okay, we got to hit play because I think we
Go
can
ahead.
stay on this for like 3 hours, this one topic. Let's just hit play.
Later, we're going to meet the Ghostbusters who helped Carmen and her family. But next, the neighbors we found while investigating this case who say, gee, they don't believe a word of the Snedeker story. Don't go away.
Sounds like people with the common sense.
I remember Sally Jessy Raphael being a normal daytime talk show. I missed this.
I've never seen, like, yeah, I remember watching Sally Jessy, and it was like just issues between families. It was nothing paranormal.
That you were molested. Now, were you ever molested outside of your home? Did they follow you? Like you said that they would follow you if you would leave.
What a question.
One night I ran down the street with Kelly, being sodomized the whole way.
What?
That's a determined
Wait, hold
good.
on.
That's a determined demon.
Hi, I was wondering.
Wait a minute. What did she just say? Can we pause that for 1 second? I didn't
She
understand
was
what
sodomized the whole way running down the street. The whole
During
time.
like
This is
a
one
lap
determined
around the
demon.
neighborhood,
Oh,
she was getting
too.
sodomized.
Did she say she was with her when that happened?
With her
Oh,
niece
yeah, they were running together.
away.
Yeah.
They were running while she was being sodomized.
Like it
By the ghost.
follows
I mean,
that
like,
movie.
seriously,
follows.
what Stevie said, she had hemorrhoids. She had hemorrhoids.
Yeah, that's exactly like it lines
The
up.
demon is inside us all along.
Listen, I feel bad for her because I really do think something really happened to her. So I feel
I'm
bad
terrible.
for her.
The niece, yes.
Yeah, the niece. I do feel bad for her. So
I think it's interesting that we're not hearing much from her now. Like,
I agree.
she had the initial bit.
That's
and
not
it's
where the
like
money
they
is, Seg.
Kind of isn't, because they're like, because
so
like
humanity is.
the out there, when she was asked that, like, let's face it, in the grand scheme of things, a pretty inappropriate question. Like, you know, it's a weird one to kind of just say. It makes me believe the person asking that question doesn't believe it, because I can't imagine asking an actual victim of SA to say to them, so have you ever been like SA'd outside your house? Is that how often does that happen?
It's not normal. No. Yeah.
Like, you don't ask that to someone who's actually gone through that kind of trauma. And then when the aunt answered it, she was smiling.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's very proud of this story.
She was like, oh, you know, the other day when I was walking down here.
Can you believe it?
Like, it's
Funny
not,
thing
none
happened.
of it is fucking believable.
Very inconvenient, that run around the neighborhood. Very inconvenient.
She was just taking her sodomy for a walk.
Yeah.
Okay, we're halfway there, guys. We're halfway there.
All right.
And almost shot my bedroom door when the door began to open by itself when he was in there.
And your question?
Why are you smiling?
I'd just like to know, if they were molested in their beds, why didn't you just leave that next morning? You have children to worry about.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Thank you, Zelda Rubenstein.
What about the fact that everywhere we went,
It followed us.
And the other outsiders, should
This
we
is
drag
important.
in our parents, our grandparents, our nieces and nephews? We had
Take the
larger
chance that it would
families.
happen to them. It was
Around this
horrifying.
time of year, we do hear a lot of tall tales about ghosts, goblins, things that go bump in the night. So far today, we've heard some pretty horrifying ghost stories that our guests claim are no tall tales. They're true. Carmen says as soon as she and her family moved into their new house, which
Get that
used to
look
be
like,
a
be
funeral
careful what
parlor,
you say.
strange things began to happen. So
This is the only time
far,
they're showing
we've heard
emotion
about
when
the
they're
music
mad.
in the middle of the night, the voices out of nowhere, and some pretty
Joe
serious
Nickel will find that
accusations,
out in a few
including
minutes.
rape and sodomy by an evil spirit, whatever it is. While we were investigating this story, we
Sexless,
came across some
genderless.
people who live in the Snedeker's old neighborhood. And they say they have some serious doubts about the Snedeker story. In fact,
No
they
way.
say the Snedekers are making the whole thing up. Meet Richard, Yvonne, and Jim. Richard, why don't you believe the Snedeker story?
Well, I think the most obvious reason for me was the inconsistencies in it. We were moving into the Southington area from another town, found the apartment. We liked the
that is a
apartment. I
proper
mentioned it to
mustache right
coworkers
there.
who work in that town.
Look at
who
that
live in
thing.
the
Very well
town. And of course, the whole haunted house story came out with them.
Now, you moved
Ugliest
into their
sweater I've ever
apartment after
seen.
they left?
Correct, the same one they were living in.
Oh,
I think I
okay.
had one
when
like
all
it.
this was supposedly happening. I think
I just want his
I
collar to be
worked it
untucked
with my
on the
wife.
outside.
We talked to people. As a matter
Yeah.
of fact,
I'm with
close
you.
relatives of yours told me that there was nothing to
I
it.
think
We
he
were
just
making it
woke up. The
Just
mustache
money.
seems like he would have just woken up.
Because I have very few relatives in the area, and I had a relative of mine contact me saying that people that were living in
This
there
is just a pissing
wanted an
contest at this
Wanted
exorcism.
us to come there.
When was this?
This was a year ago.
I was living
Now,
It's
let me
like-
ask you,
I was living
let
there a
me
year
ask
ago.
you on the dining room floor, do you see 5 toes and a heel and an imprint in red? Because it was there and did
This
not
sounds a
move.
lot less sane than
No.
she
Is
thinks
it
it does.
hardwood?
It's hardwood floor. There is no impression.
Maybe you should bring him over to the
Every
bed,
part of
and
the
he
house
can
is
confirm
Body
it
lifts
if that's what the
there?
covers
This,
look like.
this could be my dad.
It was there when I
He's been on a side eye the whole time.
I have small children myself, as a matter of fact. I have a 7-year-old, a 6-year-old, and I have seen nothing that.
Richard,
that
I
you're saying.
really don't want any harm
know,
to come to you, but we did have an
you're very
exorcism.
My question,
been there
I don't
3
think I'm
years.
lucky though. My question, my response to this is, if the ghost followed you down the street, you were so concerned that the ghost was going to harm your relatives, your friends, then the house wasn't haunted. The ghosts were from
Exactly.
You, that's
you.
right.
Because I have
blame
had
the
nothing.
house.
I have not heard a
They need the house to be haunted for this to work.
Justice for the house.
They keep saying it's them being
Sally,
haunted.
can I just say one thing?
Obviously, the exorcism worked then. You're very lucky.
I don't think it was.
Oh my God!
Dig down 12 inches behind every
Each corner
corner
of the
of the house. 12
They
inches.
call that
of
specious
emphasis in
reasoning.
metal. And there are also other things that you
The
can
fun
find
word,
there.
specious.
There's all
Who
kinds
performed the
in the tool
exorcism?
room. I
A
cannot
Catholic
give you
priest.
that.
Oh, I talked
No,
to
I cannot give you that information.
Like 100 miles at his place.
Privileged.
Has ever
Anything
set foot
about
in your
an
house since the
exorcism.
last.
You can't
That's
exercise
part
the
of
house
that-
according to some.
You can't
That's part of
even
HIPAA
know-
now. Your exorcist
Funeral home.
cannot be revealed. You have
Yeah.
exorcist
Whoever
patient
was taken last year,
confidentiality.
sign that says funeral home. It's still on the front of the house. If they show
Covered
the
up.
picture.
She was showed the
Covered
top
up.
apartment.
Cover up.
They were
by
Signs on the
remodeling.
front
Did they
door.
walk in on the
Remodeling
second
bottom
floor?
They got pictures of you
Yeah.
in the newspaper, which they
Right.
also showed. Right next to you, right
there.
behind you.
It's right there.
If you look right
Yes,
behind you on the
it's
picture,
covered
it
up
says
with
funeral home.
plywood.
It's covered
It's
up.
covered
It was
up.
not
by
covered up.
They made it say fun home, and they covered up funeral.
That I have to
did not-
ask.
Is that right?
I don't believe the story. It's because none of this was brought up.
Why did this?
Now it's a paranormal discussion.
Yes.
Everybody's so angry. I'm sorry,
Now it's
Zane. I
Sally
know you didn't
Jessy
want drama
Raphael.
tonight.
No,
Yeah.
you know what happened?
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
Well, I didn't catch that. What did they say?
Yeah, we gotta run the zinger, Chris. Back it up 30
Finger
seconds.
got missed. Okay.
Right,
Yeah.
next to you, right behind you.
Oh, I went a
If
little
you
too
look right
far.
behind you on the
It's
picture,
covered
it
up
says
with
funeral home.
plywood. It's covered
It was
up.
not
by
covered up.
plywood.
It was not covered up until this whole
I
You
think
did
the
not
biggest
live there
issue
when
here,
I
Sally, that I
did.
have
I
to
did
ask
not
why
know.
I
I've been
don't
there
believe
3
this story
years, lady. I have
is
other
because none of
witnesses that
this
did say
was
no.
brought up.
Covered.
Why did this?
Nothing was ever
Yes.
said. Nothing
Yes.
was ever said
All right.
until you got behind in your rent, and that's when it started.
No, you know what happened?
No, I'm sorry.
Whoa!
Your rent.
And like her son looks like Brian Austin Green. Like that guy came out of nowhere.
My question got there. You could never come. Okay, my question was around the same kind of thing. One, it sounds like a little bit dramatized by the wife. The whole idea of the ghosts and spirits. It sounds somewhat dramatic. I've heard people talk about ghosts and spirits, and I'm not saying that that can't happen, but it just sounds very, very dramatic the way that you're explaining it. The other thing is I was wondering if you, one, if you have a book out, and two, if you were either behind in your mortgage or your rent. Because that could be cause for the dramatization.
No.
Or that you
that's
Karma
not
Sutra for
We're
ghosts.
not behind in our rent.
Yvonne, you were saying it was for money. Why?
Yes, that's what it is. Even the landlord said they got behind. He never had a problem until they got behind in the rent. Then all of a
The
sudden,
landlord knew there was a problem with that house.
No, the landlord
Yes.
didn't know.
Wait a minute. If the landlord said there was a problem in the house,
Ask his daughter.
There was a lady living upstairs
Sally.
in the house. The whole time this was going on, there was an apartment upstairs. This lady got disgusted. She got moved out because she was disgusted with all the publicity that was going on.
What'd she say, Tammy?
She experienced
nothing.
See, there she is. She's still here.
I've been in that place.
We're not. There would be a common thing you hear.
Yes.
And she allowed the priest.
Well, you'll hear it a lot
The TV people
in this
Why
episode.
you tell us that nothing happened? Why
Because
you
she
tell the
worked
newspaper?
she told me she had a
When I
reputation
took
to
this
uphold.
rent, when I took this rent, I work at Food Mart, and Father Kabbalah, who's been a priest in the Immaculate Conception Church
In Southington.
in Southington
He's the
for
one that told us
25
forget
years.
about it.
25 years,
Yeah.
and I told, he was a friend of mine, and I said, I'm moving in the Hallahan house.
It's a hell of a
He said,
name,
Yvonne,
Father
there was
Kabbalah.
never anything there.
That's baloney.
And I said, well, if there is, they're going to have to learn to live with me.
We went to him,
and he
and
said,
we talked to him.
my
He said
money's
there was
on you,
nothing there.
Yvonne.
The
Those are
husband
his
looks like a
exact
cult
words.
leader from a
I'm one of
70s
the
horror
neighbors.
movie.
That's why.
And I don't believe in ghosts until some of this occurred. When I came home from work one night, I visited
Now
my
that's a
neighbor
plant.
next door. Her name was Joan.
She reminds me
And I
of my
was
mother
very
and her friends tell
set
stories.
back with the fact that all of a sudden her kids
I
had
like your outfit.
crucifixes on. And she had crucifixes
That's a
all
nice
over her house.
blouse.
It
And I asked her what the problem was, and she was extremely upset. At this time, she didn't want to tell me, and she was, finally, I pried it from her. She had said to me that she had been in the Snedeker house. While she was there, she had been in the cellar. In the cellar, she had this very strong, pungent odor that made her very, very sick. She said she felt like throwing up and had to get out of there.
Seg, is this evidence of ghosts?
She was sitting talking to Carmen.
She told me this.
I believe
She
it
told
was
me
in her
that.
dining room. I'm not
She
sure.
told me this.
Behind her, laughing.
And she
Behind
was
behind her,
talking to
like
her.
laughing.
She felt
Yes,
something.
There's your dad,
hitting
Seg.
her on her backside or the thigh of her leg, and it was extremely painful. When she looked down, there was absolutely nothing there.
So you believe the Snedeker story because your friend believes it?
Well,
Good
I'll
read,
tell you,
Sally.
I was uncomfortable with things I saw. I did hear that one of the priests from one of the churches did go in there, and he did not believe what had gone in, but I did see other priests go in and out of there. I
Oh.
will be honest to say what I did see. And
Did they work for the
I
Warrens?
did not experience anything other than that.
There were other priests. That's all we know.
They
Several
worked for the
priests.
Warrens.
Well done to Sally for.
There she is. There she is.
Oh, here
There's
we
the
go.
finder.
Word
Find her, lady.
to our neighbor's house for a pool party when we were there. And when Joan went into the house to tend her babies, her husband said that there had been some funny things going on and that he was concerned for his wife. Well, this was in July. We had been hearing odd noises about 3 o'clock in the morning. So I decided to put a journal next to the bed and write down what went on during the night.
So you're a neighbor who everything that happened at night, you would document.
Right.
Okay. Okay, can I say
And
something?
I discovered
Pause.
that there were usually...
Just really quick. If I was in the audience, I would stand up and direct my question to her. Because I'm like, how did you have this much time on your hands to try and write about these people where you got a big, thick ass notebook filled with information? Like,
Today we call her a Karen.
yes, exactly. All right, go ahead. Not to be confused with Taryn with a T.
I can't tell if Victor
No,
stepped
no,
away or
no
if we lost
Karen
him.
too.
All right, go ahead. Sorry.
All right.
Actually things going on in the neighborhood that explained the things they put in the newspaper.
Such as?
Oh, when the
Oh,
chains
Paul's already.
I was like, she looks exactly Like, if I was to picture a woman to do this, it would be her. It's like, what would a neighbor look like that would document every fucking noise they heard from across the way? She would look like her.
You know the wife of the neighbors in every old sitcom when there is a witch or a ghost in the house or an alien? She's that neighbor. George, I saw it again. She disappeared.
I'm impressed with her note taking. Like, I'm like, what? I'm a nosy. I like to. I pay attention to what's going on in my neighborhood. I do. But that is like, she's like
next level.
Yeah, like she's.
She took more notes than Ed and Lorraine did.
Yeah,
which is amazing.
You should have helped the author.
There's a lot of notes in that book.
Oh my God.
That's pretty heavy.
Insane.
Respect.
Anyway,
one time at 3 o'clock in the morning, a car, in fact, there were 3 cars this particular night, the noise woke us up. And they would hide in the shadows of a tree down the street, and then they would come driving by. But if anything else came by, they would take off very fast, like they didn't want to be seen. One of the trucks had a bad muffler, and it really rattled our house as well as anybody else around. There were chains dragged.
So you're saying that
when
what we saw
heavier
was
trucks went down the road around that time.
Yes,
when
that's
repairs
called a
had been done
logical
in the road, and heavy
explanation.
trucks would come down, and when they'd hit this repair in the road, it would rattle all the houses around us.
Excuse me, I don't mean to be disrespectful.
How can
I
a
like
car
this
make that
woman.
kind of vibration?
But what we experienced
Don't we
was
all?
not a traffic problem. It was in the house. The
was in the
floor
house, not
was
outside.
clutter. What about the covers coming off? What about the sodomization? What about the apparitions my children
The whole
saw?
point, though, Sally, the whole point with this is, I have a 7- and a 6-year-old home. They have 4 kids or 5 kids that were in the house. If the board creaked in the house, I'd have my kids out of there that night.
I would be
I don't
out
care
too,
if I had
yeah.
to sleep
That's right.
on the street or in the car, in a local motel. You're going to tell me that you experienced all this and you kept your kids there for 2 years?
Can I get an amen?
God, it's amazing that these two families live together. This is the show right here.
In the newspaper as having come in and blessed
Better
the
than
house
getting
and
attacked.
worked with them, did not go into that house.
I'm sorry?
He
Check
had
out that
not
brooch.
been in that house.
Yeah.
Mrs. Hallahan's.
She wearing a name
That's a
tag?
brooch.
Mrs. Hallahan.
Yes.
When that article
You
was
can identify her.
She made her ass official.
Yeah.
the Snedeker's house.
You should have cleaned your bananas.
There's the sign that says Hallahan Funeral Home. This is a dated newspaper picture.
Ma'am,
It
I
was
hate to
in
tell you, but it
gold
was
on
covered
black
up
with a light over.
by plywood when I lived in that house and when I
You
looked
got
at
there.
it.
He's doing a live debunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
She's doing a live debunk.
Real life
She's been waiting her whole life for
sculptors
this.
who Al and Carmen say saved their lives, when along with a priest, they performed
Have you
an
ever thought about
exorcism
standing in the
their
studio
house. See
audience
if we
during a
can figure out who the priest
paranormal
was.
presentation saying
Take a break.
That's how Houdini got started, but it replaced talk show with circus. It's not lucrative,
Carmen
but
and her family about a chilling story. They wrote a book about it called "In a Dark Place."
Oh, there is a book.
The story.
They did not.
Ray Garden. Yeah,
that was written by Ray Garden.
Ed and Lorraine Warren, who have been
They
with
took
us
credit though,
before.
right?
They are the professional Ghostbusters.
Patrick
who Al and
Wilson, right
Carmen
there in the
saved
flesh.
their lives. Ed, you both launched an investigation into the house, and you discovered a very shocking thing that actually happened in
Mel
the
from
funeral
Mel's Diner.
parlor involving the bodies. What happened?
Well, we feel through our investigation that necrophilia or
Their heads getting
abuse
cut off.
of
There it was.
corpses had occurred in that home. Not necessarily by the undertaker. It could
Do you
be
hear
anybody
Ed's
that went in
explanation
there.
for why it's
Now,
haunted?
this case is not as isolated
They think
as these three
he
people
thinks
would have us think.
necrophilia occurred?
We
Yeah,
have
he
over
thinks
70
that the funeral
cases.
home director abused the bodies.
Oh.
I think we
Okay,
both
okay.
say-
It's still they are still already gone. They've all
have 10 more
spirit.
minutes.
The spirit force has already left the bodies by the time these
We have 10 more minutes of
cadavers
this
are
show.
being assaulted.
I like how that all the people that were speaking any kind of common sense were told to leave when Ed and Lorraine Warren came on.
Yeah, right.
Anyone with any sort of credibility there, you guys better go because Ed and Lorraine Warren are coming on now and we don't want to affect you with bullshit. Like,
Can you imagine Ed walking into the funeral home, like hitching up his belt, looking around? Yep, necrophilia. There was necrophilia here.
The only explanation.
Yep, solved it.
Here's the
Would you
thing,
like
he
a
doesn't
book written
go-
about you?
He doesn't go, I suppose, based on the information available to me. He just goes, necrophilia.
Yep.
Yep.
Would you like us to have a book written about your necrophilia?
Always matter of fact.
90s TV? Is this 80s TV?
80s TV.
Yeah.
Late 80s
In the
probably,
1980s, prime, like daytime television, you could just talk about rape, sodomization, necrophilia. It's just there. Like, fuck it,
it's
just
insane.
talk what- Like, imagine that getting greenlit today.
Right.
Yeah. They be
Yeah.
sending these people to for SAG evaluations.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Let's see how Ed and
Like,
Lorraine
even
fare
like,
here.
I mean, even by Ed Warren standards.
What?
You know, there was, I think it was CBS.
I didn't know he
Did you
had
say
those.
standards? Is that what she said?
Yep.
No, that's what
I don't
Craig
recognize
said, yeah.
this. Ed Warren standards.
I
Explain.
know that's what I said. I'm like, I don't know what that means. I didn't know he had those.
Well, you know, he went to the well on demons too many times, and we had to come to necrophilia at a point. It's a natural conclusion.
Pretty demonic to do that.
Yeah.
There was something on either PBS or CB 2020, one of those shows back in the day where they did a live exorcism.
Yep.
Let's see if I can find it.
In 91, wasn't it? It was CBS, and they had like random 90s
But
commercials.
didn't they
and
do
stuff.
it simultaneously in the UK?
I think they did one in the UK, but it wasn't the same one.
It wasn't the same day.
It wasn't the same exorcism.
No, I know, but I heard it was they did two at the
I
same
don't know.
time.
It's like Live Aid. You had different bands in different countries. So you had different
Closed circuit television.
I digress.
Yeah.
That's my ADHD because I'm watching it.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, this is crazy. But the crazier thing I ever saw was like the live exorcism that they did.
Yeah.
It wasn't,
Like,
it wasn't an
WrestleMania
exorcism in
1
their
or 2.
house, though, right?
What?
It wasn't an exorcism in the Snedeker house, right?
They just
No,
said there
it's-
was, but I don't
they
think
said
there's
that?
record of it.
They said he exercised the house. Yes.
Yeah, but I don't
Yeah.
think that's
work.
actually a thing. I don't think it's recorded.
Look for the hoof prints in each corner of each room of the apartment, Stevie.
And
Pretty sure
and
Ed
also
even said himself, "You can't exercise a house." Like I'm pretty sure I heard him say that.
love finds a way. For anything, love finds a way.
Oh my god.
All right, we ready?
Every corner of the house, you're
Not
gonna
really.
find a Saint
Not
Michael
really.
or a Saint Benedict medallion in every corner of the house. That's what she's
Yeah.
gonna say.
So if you notice the guy in the gray suit is Joe Nickel, they snuck him out there. His suit also doesn't fit right, but he tried really hard for this. I can't wait to see him in this. Rest in peace, Joe.
Yes.
Yeah,
A lot of risk
Yeah.
there.
Is very similar to the Snedekers. And remember that the church was involved in this.
Who was the priest? Everyone seems to have a
We can
disagreement.
tell you that the chancellery was involved. The priest that was involved there was a Father A, who was on 2020. And there was also 3 other priests, and this can be borne out through the official records of the chancellery in Hartford.
Yes.
So can I just say something really
What a
quick?
name.
Ed automatically comes out defensive.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah. And he's
Instead
lying.
of telling the story, he's like, it's like he's defensive. Like he's like trying to convince everybody that this is really what happened.
It's a feature, not a
To be
bug.
fair, his lead-in was that woman with the brooch who had the whole binder action
Oh, yeah.
going on. So
True.
he
Yeah.
got
Already mad.
shanghaied a bit.
True. And they were
Yeah.
watching how everybody else was reacting and the neighbor.
Yeah.
You know,
All
or
the
the
big
new
round of
people that
applause
were-
seem to come from people who don't believe. He
Right.
knows the audience are against him because
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the big round of applause seems to be coming from those debunking it.
Well,
Yeah.
especially in the 80s, right? It was like a lot less accepted that there could be anything spiritual going on.
Yeah. And I
Well, I
said
don't
he
know,
was
maybe.
lying, but what I meant was there was never any confirmation. He never provides any proof of the things he says.
No, he just says it definitively.
Yeah.
Well, he also just threw out necrophilia out of nowhere without providing any context there. So I mean,
Yeah, he says
we're way past the point of
Doesn't even say
documentation.
No, because
who the perpetrator of this.
right.
Like, was it the old funeral home? I don't know,
think
owner,
that-
director, whatever.
yeah,
like,
I
you know,
They
think it
claim the
was-
director of the funeral home. Yeah.
It was Old
would
Man
say-
Wilson, and he would have gotten away if it wasn't for those
Also-
meddling kids.
At
I
this
don't
point, it
know.
was a genderless black mass.
Yeah. I don't know if they mention it in this situation that's happening right now. I don't know if they bring this up, but in the book, Stephen, the boy who's experiencing this first and the one who had all the first experiences and started telling everybody, he also says that this being says something about a Native American. And I think Ed brings it up too in other situations, but I don't know if they bring it up today.
It's just
Of course.
like a trope
Yeah.
buffet. You know,
Yes.
you might as well throw it all out there. Something's gonna
Whatever it
stick.
could be. Yeah.
Yeah.
What
like The
makes me
Shining.
sad is there are things that are accepted in the paranormal community today as just that's the way things have always been, and it turns out they don't even know it came from Ed's mouth first.
Yeah.
He twisted
If
something
we-
he heard from Laura. Go ahead.
If we had a ghost with a headless ghost wandering around looking for its head, we would have all the cliches of every
Yeah.
single ghost story rolled up into this one thing.
And Ed's
Well,
white
Ichabod
lady.
Crane was actually
Yeah.
a real person. You see,
Also,
Based on a real person.
I can't get. I mean, forgive me here. I can't get my head out of the whole necrophilia thing. Is he trying to say now that the ghost was essayed, therefore the ghost now, or the ghost was
Yes.
essayed, or the body of the ghost?
I
the
don't
dead
think so.
body of the
Okay,
ghost, I think.
so
So therefore,
I
that
think-
ghost is now vengeful and just wants to sodomize
No.
and
No.
no.
Okay, Ed's explanation is the director of the funeral home practiced black magic and necrophilia and rituals, which angered the spirits, and that in turn made this thing that assaulted them. So the negative
it's
energy
not
as a result of
logical
the
at all.
practices.
So it's
But-
supposed to be. So it's a incubus, right? Is that what it is?
Basically, yeah.
Fair.
Right.
But saying that makes perfect sense. Like if that's what they're trying to say, you know what I mean? Like, now it's
Doesn't make
mad,
sense at all.
angry.
Well, you're right. But this is the kind of chicken and the egg sort of thing, isn't it? Like, I would love to know if they was on the record of saying they were molested before Ed and Lorraine Warren
Yeah,
turned
I
up.
want to find the logic, right? So, like, the act of assaulting cadavers is so disturbing and so evil that it angered the spirits, and the spirits that get angry that must be positive, good spirits. But they came so angry that negative energy brought the demon out, and the demon took over. Is that what we're saying?
Or
Can you
Something like
can
that.
you imagine? Yeah,
or
can
like
you
Sykes
imagine?
said, it was the spirits that were actually the act was done to, and
Doesn't
now
make sense. They weren't there.
Well, no, like imagine like you died, you know, your body's getting prepped. All of a sudden, the funeral director like takes his belt off. You got to sit there and watch that, and you can't do anything about it while your dead body's on the table.
You're not there.
What are you doing?
But
Stop!
are
I
you?
can't do it.
It depends on who you talk to, Chris. I mean, some people, they might believe that you are there, and that's why they're
Also,
pregnant.
some people believe that if the body is disturbed, it calls the spirit back. Like that's a storyline of like an idea. It's of course not a rule, but people say that. Like if a body is disturbed, it will disturb the spirit.
I do not know the governing rules of spirituality
I
and
don't- neither do I.
necrophilia, and I don't think I ever will.
That's the plot line of The Crow.
It depends
Yeah.
on that, though, doesn't he not?
It's the only time I've ever heard it referenced.
But I
This
will say that
literal
some of-
thing.
Some of the most horrible cases come from people that are like really, really religious,
Mm-hmm.
and they seem
Yeah.
to be very, very religious, or at least the mom seems to be very religious.
So willing to believe and be convinced of anything.
Yeah.
I don't think that anything like this has ever happened to anybody who's not religious.
yeah,
Always a
like-
cross. There's always upside down crosses. There's always
Yeah, I've said this before in other videos. Like, you show me an atheist that's needs an exorcism. Like, show me an atheist that's been possessed. It doesn't happen.
I would love to see that.
You would
though,
think
if
that'd be
it
the
did.
first person that gets possessed as an atheist, right? Because
Right.
you're open to the evil spirits.
But it's the opposite. They
I've
always say
asked
the most devout.
Every haunted place I've been in, I've asked them to attach themselves to me, touch me, bother
too.
me, possess me.
Well, now you have new ideas.
Maybe this is
after
maybe
this.
this isn't even Friday guy anymore. Maybe this is someone from this is a demon.
Give me a
from one of
burning
the-
sensation.
I don't pray for
You're
that
backing-
for myself. I pray for Kenny Biddle. That's who I hope.
Yeah. Seg, you're backing
Yeah.
yourself into a corner because you know what you have to ask for next, right? Because we're covering it right now, and
Love
you're
you,
just
Kenny.
pigeonholing yourself into that. Shout out to Kenny Biddle. I'll
Yes.
say that. We said it before on this show. Shout out to Kenny Biddle.
I watched my first Kenny Biddle the other day with Seg on it.
You're first.
Yay!
I can't see. Is Kenny in the chat? Are we saying?
No, he's not.
We're not live.
We're just
We're not live.
We're not live.
They were just on my show. He comes on my show a lot, but I love Kenny. But
Great
I do
beard.
Kenny seems pretty cool.
I am waiting for the day, and I hope and pray it happens that
Me
one of
too.
those many haunted dolls that Kenny has turns into Chucky, child's play. And
Absolutely.
Throws a knife at him. You know, I don't quite want Kenny dead, but I want him to have a near-death experience.
I just hope I'm there to see it. It would be awesome.
What is happening?
All right, go ahead.
We're angering the spirits, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
Name Father A is the name I give you. I don't have to give
a
you
name, a full name.
Oh, here he goes. Here he goes.
If it's secret, you're sitting here talking about being raped and sodomized by some sort of entity, but you won't give a name.
It was all backed up.
What happened to
It was
me?
all backed
I'm
up?
not telling
We had
you.
seen
You gotta
this.
believe me.
We had investigated.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. That would have been backed up if they actually went to a doctor. They had a burning sensation. Maybe the ghost wasn't there physically, but what happened to their anal cavity would have happened physically. They should have. I'm being clinical. I'm not trying to be crass. That
Forget
should have
the
been investigated
exorcist.
by a
Why
doctor.
didn't you call a proctologist first?
Yes.
No,
Forget
I'm
the
serious.
exorcist.
No, really, Chris is right. I would go to a doctor and get checked out.
How convenient. Oh, well, why would we go? You can't see the ghost, so you can't see the harm. You know, like what doesn't make sense?
If you were harmed that badly, there might be physical proof.
Sure.
Say, if you got molested by a ghost anally, would you go to a doctor?
No. No. To be fair, no. I think I'll be quite embarrassed.
There might be something to that, actually.
I think I'll be a little bit on the embarrassed side.
Now we have
Or-
privacy laws
Hey,
in the
I'm not gonna
country.
kink shame. Maybe it depends.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, we have privacy laws in America. Like they're bound to those.
Well, we used to anyway.
yeah, but my thing more is like the words leaving my mouth to enter the ears of another human being that I believe I got sodomized by a ghost would be enough for me to maybe go, you know what, maybe I'd keep this one to myself.
Where are the masks?
Would you
Doctor's
go-
question.
That's what I was going to say, Chris. Where are the masks?
Would you
On the-
go and
I'll go
tell
with a mask.
them?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Would
On
you
the
go
bright
and
Wear a
side-
tell
hockey
them what
mask.
it
They'll think
was?
you're
Did you
shaved.
say you hurt?
Sorry.
Would
I'm
you go
sorry.
and not mention the ghost part and just go in and be like, I'm having a lot of pain. Can I get this checked out?
Yeah, very much so.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
'Cause-
I think I would definitely, if I'm having problems down there, yeah, go see a doctor if you got
That
problems
is
down
absolutely
there.
good advice.
And that
Absolutely.
should have been
If
the
you believe
first
it's the
thing.
ghost that caused it to
Yeah,
you,
agreed.
maybe keep that to yourself, or don't go to a doctor, go to an actual therapist.
That's
On
true.
the
to talk
on the
about
bright
that.
side, though, Seg, on the bright side, you would have definitive proof finally.
Yeah.
So you'd kind of owe the ghost at that point.
Yeah, I don't know
think
if I
about
would
it.
call that definitive proof.
You would think
Ooh,
that would be the first thing that you would do, like just
Yeah.
at least go make sure.
Everything's
What
okay.
would you call that then? What would you call that if not definitive?
I have an
proof?
aching pain. Yeah, you call it-
Hemorrhoids. I would call that
Exactly.
hemorrhoids.
The doctor is bound to be able to tell you what it is.
Okay, play.
telling you what
Were you in
happened.
the house? Were you in the
I was
house when it
standing.
was going
I
on?
lived
Were you
across the
there?
street Before you
Were
people
you in
moved
the
in
house
that
when it was
still
going
lived there.
on?
One of the ones that came around the house go boo boo through the window.
No,
Yeah.
once you
Yeah,
guys
sounds
started
like
doing this and
something
it got
you
to
do.
the paper.
Sounds like something you
They
do.
trolled him.
very
That's beautiful. They
Probably one of the
trolled.
guys I
Real
know
time
down the
troll.
street.
I'd like to know how much you
Why would they
three,
run all the way down the street
especially
when I
you,
live across the
are
street?
getting paid off by the landlord to do this kind of stuff. Because you know
I
as
don't
well
believe the
as-
landlord has that kind of
you
money.
know as well as we do that
I don't
when
think the landlord
none of
wants
that
anything to
house
do with this.
actually occurred. We have the proof. We have people out here, investigators. who
Question.
went through
Where's the
it.
fucking proof, shithead?
Ed?
Yeah.
I don't know what happened in the house and what didn't, but I lived next to the house for over 25 years, and I haven't been in there in over 15 years, but I do know that when they moved into the house, there
okay?
was no sign that said Hallahan Funeral Home. The sign exists. It is, you know, to the right side of the door, but it was covered with plywood for years now. It's been covered up ever since the Hallahans moved out. It does not say
Guys, am I
Hallahan
saying this
Funeral
right?
Home on
Am I
it
saying-
anymore.
am I saying what you want me to say?
And people moved
Yeah,
into
exactly.
the home after the Snedekers left.
So
And left.
we
years
have the
after
name
they
of
did,
the
before
funeral
they
director
moved
who
in.
committed
So there
sodomy,
was
and no
an
one.
interim family
Well, I'm
in
sorry,
Kent was
necrophilia,
disturbed,
and
too.
no one followed up with that.
Jeff, what do you think?
Right?
Yeah, I have a question.
Carmen said they had history.
As you know, well, as you said before, your son had cancer, and he was taking many drugs.
Yes.
Did
Uncle
he or did he
Van
not
Damme
tell you
said
that he was also taking other illegal substances?
I'm aware that he did take other illegal
Because he used to come over to our house and tell us that whatever we wanted, we could get. or
Rev for the
whatnot.
win, Stevie.
I don't know what
Yeah.
he told you, and I'm not aware of his.
Are there anyone
his
in the audience that are actual
teenage
audiences?
boyhoods, but I did
she's
take him to a
panicking.
psychologist,
Yeah.
remember,
That's
and
right.
I did have a great deal of interest in what happened to my
Yeah,
son.
why would
And
anybody
he has
admit
grown up a
that
great deal,
on
and
live
he told the
television?
psychologist, and to this day will still tell you there were ghosts in the house.
But how do you know?
Psychologist said that.
Psychiatrist. What does
Wait,
psychologist
a
do with it?
psychologist said that?
That's what
Well,
she
that
No, I
is
think
true.
I think he said that to the psychologist, and that's just good enough. It's in the notes.
Like the use of drugs. Is that what you're saying?
No.
No,
Ghostbuster.
that's trademarked. You can't put that up there.
Sensitivity. We know that when a person takes drugs, they're almost in the same state as a clairvoyant. But if you ask the gentleman
How do you
who's
know
sitting right
that?
over there, who spent
How
9
can you
weeks-
say
LSD
that?
trials.
I will
The
agree with
LSD
Ed
trials.
Warren for the only time on this show. Yeah,
Time the fuck out.
We're there for night.
How can that motherfucker have any credibility after saying that? Like, well, we know if you take mind-altering drugs, you're on the same level as a clairvoyant. So they're all fucking mental. Like,
Has
that's
Ed been on
fucking
drugs?
insane.
If anyone has any
What was
any
the trial for that?
psychedelics, I am happy to give you a reading or any of that stuff. If you have any psychedelics, I'm happy to.
I have to say, most people claiming to be psychic have come off as on drugs to me, so that may be true.
And the way he
Yeah.
said that, we all know as if, oh, God,
Every
come
time.
on now. You know, if you take LSD, it's the same as being a clairvoyant. It was like,
It's a fact, Say.
Maybe
It's
it's
just a fact.
how
in the
do
moment.
people give a shit what he has to say? First of all, the level of anger. I know that there's anger on all sides here, but really, he should have the least reason to be so angry because he's got the least amount of investment in this. Like, it's not his property, it's not his family, it's not the next door neighbor, it's not like he's doing it because it's his brand. He's doing it for money.
Yes.
He's getting really defensive and angry because he wants that, you know, the whole Ed and Lorraine Warren kind of, you know, branding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think
The fact that he's come out so angry in itself is really suspicious to me.
Well,
I
okay,
think
so
this is about when the train was drying up too.
Yes.
But you could
yeah,
sure.
he stopped making so many appearances after this, and also before this, since the 60s, he has been used to being that person that everyone eats up what he's saying. He was hosting lectures and he was being requested everywhere in town, and they were doing everything to like make appearances, and people were eating it up. And then, you know, it slowly changed when people started knowing more about movies and more about faking, and I think that's why this happened. Like, he is so used to being worshipped, and now he's not.
Actually, I didn't mean to do that. Sorry, I didn't mean to do it to you. Yeah.
Oh no, you're good.
It was an
I just
accident.
think that's it. Like, I think that's
I will say this. Seg, you do not know what it's like to ghost hunt on acid until you try it. I'm not advocating for it, but you cannot tell me about LSD and spirituality until
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm not. It's on the table. The cards are on the table for that one because I keep saying I want to see a ghost, and I'll better the
Whatever
odds
it
in
takes.
Heck yeah.
Compromise.
I love it.
Compromise.
Carmen and Snedeker. When we go in on these cases, we have to document.
Who's we?
The researchers. I work with Ed and Lorraine, doing their investigating. I'm one of the persons that was in there for the 9.5 weeks. I'm amazed at hearing all these people that weren't even in the home. You weren't there. You weren't witness to it. A neighbor sitting here with a book, a whole journal, stating I
This
want
gentleman
person
is
in his
very
case to
nice.
document
He's
the
very
things around the
sweet.
clock. Why
In
don't you
real
call
life,
and see if you can
I'm
help the
just gonna
family?
say let's
Why don't
move
you see
on,
if you could
please,
offer some help?
at this
You're
time.
saying there was no priest there. I know there was priest there. The Roman Catholic Church was involved with this. Now,
Regardless
you
of
want us
this
to turn
statement
around
now,
and
just-
give you the name of the priest.
Yeah, we will not
He
talk
prefers
here.
to stay anonymous.
They said was
No, you
there.
don't. No,
And he
you
said
don't.
he
No,
was
you
not
don't.
there. I said I have the
newspaper.
newspaper clipping with his name
I've
in
never
it.
publicized
And he
one
said
time.
that he was not there. But
She went to Kinko's for this. She went to Kinko's.
Was Kinko's
We're
around
not
yet?
going to
We
write a
weren't
book.
at the time, lady. We
Well,
were
you sure
approached 2 years later.
We insisted that it would be good for them to write a book because people like these out here would
Ray
know
Garten
that
wrote
it was
it.
help for them if this ever occurred to them.
And called them frauds. He called them frauds.
I have.
Yep.
I made a
Wait, what happened to Joe Nichols? Is he still up there?
Oh, he's coming up. He's coming up. Yeah.
You yelling in your window.
They haven't thrown the mic to
We
him yet.
called the
This will be
police.
amazing.
The poolers called the police. Other
Has this
neighbors
woman written
called
a
the
book?
police.
I'm gonna read her
And
book.
I
have
caught
respect for
her
that.
messing around the house.
Yes, and I appreciate that. I have
The unauthorized biography of the
Let me
Snedeker
ask
haunting.
this woman. Let me get this woman's opinion.
I'd like to know why
She didn't
you
have her
people
hand up.
fabricate something so absurd to get money when there's other ways of getting money. And I also don't think it's right that you demean their son for doing drugs. And there are a lot of kids who have problems, and it doesn't happen
She's high
just
right
in
now.
people's houses who supposedly have drugs.
She's a pothead. She's offending me.
Everybody belittle the son for that. I think it's very fucking relevant.
Some of the drugs he was taking would allow him to see things.
Hallucinogenic?
Exactly.
C-Seg.
LSD.
LSD.
So you have to do
It's not only
LSD.
one son who saw it; it was the whole family.
Right.
Just
That's
because
a whole
one son
new
is doing drugs does not mean the whole family's going to be affected.
That's a whole nother debate, right? Like, if you see things when you're on drugs, are you seeing them because of the drugs or because the drugs make them easier to see? I think that's a fair debate. We'll
Carbon
have that another day.
monoxide can have the same effect on a mass group. I'm just saying. Radon.
But like, you know, the fact that they're trying to make out how dare you even bring that up is fucking ridiculous. That's very, very
to be
important
relevant.
for the
It's
overall
very
You're gonna
content.
bring it to the public. You gotta stand up to the scrutiny. Absolutely.
Like, yeah, well, like, how dare you bring up there was a drug problem? Well, how fucking dare you not bring it up first before
Yeah,
this
why
guy?
hide anything?
Exactly. I mean, when you do a private house, I mean, I have a 52 questionnaire that I send out, and one of the questions is anybody in the house using it? Now, all of it's confidential, but I have to know: is anybody using
No,
illegal
it's
drugs?
100%.
Yeah.
And like, you know,
No.
they just provided
Or
that
prescription
information.
drugs.
Yeah.
Like, this guy
Also-
wouldn't have to come along and embarrass their son if they just disclosed that, because it's very, very relevant.
Right.
Yes.
Mhm.
But they were happy to keep their mouths shut about that.
I also will
Yeah.
say at this time, please do not do drugs going into a ghost hunt. You're free to do it after. Like that is the legitimate thing. Don't do like drugs going into the property like ever.
Yeah.
That's a
Good
safety
statement.
thing and a liability thing, and just don't do that.
And
I'm
we'll
gonna
know.
say-
We'll
I'm
see
gonna
you.
say, I'm just gonna say, give it a go. Why not?
If you own the property, do what you want. But you know,
Yeah.
Yeah, if you get permission.
Maybe don't do it like if you're gonna go investigate a mine, like an abandoned mine. That's probably
Yeah,
not a good
safety
idea.
first.
Yeah.
If you're like somewhere bullshit, like, you know, put it this way: if you're dumb enough to spend an absolute fortune going to the Conjuring house or somewhere really expensive like that, you might as well have a good time. Bring some LSD with you.
yeah, Jackie doesn't give a shit about the drug waiver thing. So go
It
ahead.
might
and
not
do it
feel
at
as
the
bad
Conjuring
when you
house.
pay that
Yeah.
money up. Yeah.
Yeah, don't tell the people who own the property, because it's usually in the waiver you sign that you don't have to do it. So just don't tell them,
Yeah.
and they will not have a clue if you're on LSD or not, because you'll just be saying the same shit that the next fucking fuckhead said the week before.
Oh, we
yeah,
know
it's
that.
all this, it's
Yeah.
all that. Have fun with it.
They'll be happy for the confirmation.
All right, let's move on.
See it. What about my three?
Okay, neighbors,
Sally.
do you want to answer? Go
I
ahead.
was just going to, he said what I was going to say. You know, you take a lot of drugs, you start to see funny
The whole
things.
family was on drugs?
My 3-year-old
Come
son
on.
was
Philip
You're
was
little
not there
kids.
the whole time. He wasn't there. He was put into.
Philip.
Do you know if the
Philip?
priest
In the name.
who went into that
I don't know,
house
Philip.
had experiences so bad in their own rectories that they wouldn't even go back into that house again.
Sally,
And the
You're not
home
give us-
was
you're not gonna give us
exercised.
the name.
Let me take, let's get
Hey, Lorraine's
a
here.
quick break and we'll be right back.
He's got a hell of a smell going.
I have something to say. I think So she just said Philip.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I remember correctly, I could be wrong, but if I remember correctly, Stephen is the pseudonym and Philip is the real name. I think. I'm not 100% sure.
Oh.
You think it was a slip?
Yes. Because I think in the book it's Stephen, if I remember right.
Interesting.
Real name is Victoria.
Ever.
I just want to say, the mother on Bewitched, that Lorraine has mastered the Bewitched mother's scowl at Darren. It's during the show.
In this moment, I actually feel quite sorry for Lorraine. I'm just like,
I did.
I'm looking at that woman like that's a woman like I know not
to speak.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah, okay.
She was kind of reacting to him pointing, so she was just like,
"Oh, really?"
Yeah.
I didn't catch that.
I get a very bad vibe with that whole dynamic right there.
He definitely threw her hand down. If you go back, he like moves her hand out of the way to try and make his point while she's trying to call for Sally. If you look.
I've said that before. I said he comes off so aggressive, and like she just seems so subdued. Like like let him. He wants to do all the talk. He just seems very an aggressive person. But I have said that before. I
think it's pretty clear he's an aggressive person.
Okay.
And I would think that he probably was very aggressive towards her.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll see.
It's all speculation.
I don't want to say anything like he did. I just think that he was very dominant and she was very, I don't know. I don't want to say the wrong thing or sound like I'm saying the wrong thing.
It's all speculation. It's hard not to.
I'm not saying that he was abusive or anything like that.
I think that there's a lot of stories out there that Ed was not a nice man.
Oh, we'll see that in about a minute.
So. I've had conversations with people who say both. I have had people say Ed was awful and all of the things you guys are saying, and I've had people tell me he was amazing. And like I've heard about both of them, both sides. That Ed's very split down the middle.
I mean, to be fair, he could have been both. Like people are complicated. I get that.
Good people do bad things.
The bad things I've heard about the guy are really fucking bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good people do bad things. Bad people do good things. But the people who say good things about Ed, are they people who had something to gain by saying good things about him? I'm just curious.
Actually, sometimes no. Sometimes they're really genuinely decent people, and they just saw the only thing they saw was the decent side of him.
Okay. All right, we're going to continue.
Yep.
Who is a skeptic on this whole matter?
There
Joe,
he is.
You say the investigation
peace,
Warren's conducted is baloney. Why?
Well, I've investigated haunted houses for some 20 years, and a professional psychologist. Pardon?
Is there such a thing?
I've not met a house that I thought was haunted. I think the Warrens have never met a house that they didn't think was haunted.
I think that you are mistaken.
I was on the show that man once before.
It's my turn.
Let him speak.
I've heard that you were a loudmouth who shouted people down. Just give me my chance to talk.
I won't give you a chance.
You did that to me last show we were on.
A bunch of lies.
No, I won't give you the chance.
You have the proof.
You're a loudmouth, Warren, and we all know it. But if you'll just let me finish.
When you're concerned, I'm a loudmouth.
Go ahead.
Try to show a little
Joe,
flash
I don't
on
have a
national
lot of
TV.
time.
No, I'm not going to give class to somebody who's sitting here. You'll have nothing but lying.
Ed, let Joe just explain.
Be careful who you call a liar.
Well, what would you do about it?
Guys, Joe, point by point.
Yes, one thing that the houses that sincere people report that they think are haunted usually follow certain patterns. This is a hodgepodge of the sort of ghost tale, poltergeist, part demon, part this, part that.
Were you there?
We saw a similar pattern with the Amityville Horror, a case that Warren thought was genuine.
Yeah. Okay. So Joe Nickel, not only, as he correctly said, he had been investigating haunted locations for years, but he followed up 2 Warren investigations, the Amityville Horror, the house in Long Island in Amityville, as well as the Enfield poltergeist over in England. He literally hopped on a plane as the Warrens were like coming back. So when you say, were you there to him, which is a common tactic, Joe actually was there. He wasn't in the Snedeker house, but he was at like a lot of locations, especially Warren locations.
It turned out to be a blatant
Nobody
hoax
ever proved that.
concocted over
Nobody
several
ever
bottles
proved
of
it.
wine.
Can
The
you
evidence,
prove it?
yes, I
No, you
can prove
can't.
it. Yes,
You
I
cannot
can.
prove
It's
it.
been proven.
No, it has never
The
been
evidence
proven.
is very clear in the case of the Amityville Horror.
No,
And the whole
no way.
packaging of this story, the book says it's for Halloween release. The book was written by a professional fiction writer who writes horror stories.
Joe,
This
does the
whole
church-
packaging is a
does the-
crock.
Joe, does the church admit to exorcism?
He's an atheist.
According
How would he
to,
know?
according to a newspaper article that I have, the Bridgeport newspaper, the diocese refuses to confirm that they had any exorcism there.
It wasn't
if there
done by
was,
the
if
operative.
there
Sally,
was
I
an
have a
exorcism,
tape
I
of an
don't understand
exorcism
why
from a
there is
priest.
any reason
Can we
why
pause?
they come out and
Done for
say so.
Bridgeport.
Gladly.
So to back up Joe Nickel here, I've been working with Carl Glatzel on the Arnie Shine Johnson case, and Carl says he has documentation also from the Bridgeport Diocese saying they have no affiliation with the Warrens.
There you go. Fact check, just automatically volunteered there. Perfect.
I don't
Had
understand
priests
the
on
need
the
for
show
the
when we've
secrecy.
talked about exorcism.
If I
Take a
can
break.
prove
We'll
that
be
there
right back.
wasn't exorcism,
Notice how Joe Nickel's very calm and measured, and he's not yelling and fighting with anybody.
Yeah.
But the sheer
And
fact
Ed's in
that
his
these-
face.
This family,
Yeah.
in their hearts and in their minds, believe that this happened has to be overwhelming. And my heart goes out to you, whether it happened or not.
Thank you
very much.
Yes.
Well, I really feel
If
like
you
the
weren't
only
haunted, I sympathize.
description of your first trip into the house is a corpse. I mean, blood on the
That's what we
walls,
found.
and wax and makeup. And you also sound like you're reading a script. I'm not saying spirit.
He's wearing like
You
4
sound
puka
so
shell
real.
necklaces, one on top of the other.
Do you feel that
Yeah,
way?
I was wondering, you've been talking about two different kinds of ghosts coming in. Are they either male or female, or is it always a male that's in your home?
No, ghosts have no gender.
They
I
have no
don't think.
gender or
I'm not
genitals,
sure,
but
I
they.
don't
have no
Who
gender.
decided that?
She knows. Like,
Yes.
that's the part that
I'd like to
bothers
know
me.
if
Me
you
too.
bought this house by a real estate agent, and if this real estate
We didn't buy
agent
it.
ever told you
Buy it.
anything.
It was rented, and no, they did not
No,
tell
you're
us
automatically
anything.
wrong. We rented it.
Yes, I don't know if you're still being haunted by these ghosts.
No,
No,
we're
we're
not.
not.
The exorcism apparently worked.
The exorcism worked.
Our audience does
Crack
not.
a
I think
beer
we're
for
done,
that.
right?
I get-
We don't need the rest of her outro, right? We're done with that.
Cheers.
How you feel? Are you talking to the other mask? What's happening here?
Yeah. You believe it? I don't even know where to begin with that. That was insane.
Yep.
That's a fair
I might have
assessment.
to say, I might actually have to make a video on this.
It's
There you
good,
go.
isn't it?
We've
That
inspired
was
Seg.
insane.
Oh, and I looked
This
it up.
was that.
If Philip was the son, they did have a name slip there.
Ooh.
Oh.
Hmm.
Nobody caught that.
What's with these people and just doxing?
Slip doxing.
Even went on back then in the 80s.
So,
But
Right?
think about it. Like they hid his real name so no one could look up information. Maybe.
and then the sister or the cousin just slips it.
Yeah.
That being said,
Philip was the real name of the eldest brother that had the cancer and
Yep.
the drug problem.
And they
Correct.
referred to him as Steven on the show, and I'm pretty sure in the book.
Did he have a drug problem before the cancer? Do we know, or maybe the drug problem was related because of how he maybe self-medicated?
It was the
after?
80s, Seg.
According to the book, it developed within a friendship he made while living in that house. That's according to the book, though. Of course, we know
Friends
that's
sharing
not
drugs.
a fact checker. But yeah, he apparently started hanging out with some kids that weren't like the kid that spoke up in the audience. He lived in that neighborhood and knew him.
Oh yeah, that's right. He said
They hung
he'd
out together.
come over to his house and get the
And in the book, they suggest that it started because he was being so traumatized at home. That was what he turned to.
So are were the parents of the cousins that lived there, were they abusive in some way? Do we know anything about why they lived with
We don't know anything about it. The way it's portrayed is that Carmen was they were helping Carmen because she was dealing so much with the cancer with Philip.
So so there's never been anything said about the parents of the nieces that
Right.
Never got that
they know
far.
two nieces that live there.
There's talk about them moving in briefly, and it what I remember is it's basically because Carmen needed the help, and she kind of just took in the two nieces. I think there's two of them.
Yeah, too. Yeah, that's what she said.
And
I never knew that.
I don't think much of the before of the Snedeker family is like publicly available. It kind of starts with what Ray Garden put together for the book.
Yeah.
Like we don't know much about their lives beforehand
He
other
did
than
his
what's
best
in
to-
From a Dark Place. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the making up of the story actually accomplished what it was meant to do, and that was to flood the zone with bullshit until the actual issue was never addressed. That was
right.
to be addressed.
Is Philip still alive?
What?
Is Philip still alive?
No,
Or
he passed.
He did pass. Okay. Did he pass from the cancer?
No, he actually beat that and he passed. When I was looking that up, I just saw the obituary. I think it was in 2012, but I don't think it says
how old
how.
would he have been? He must have been quite young.
Yeah, he was birth date was 73 and death date was 2012.
You're younger than me. You're older.
Oh, and by the way, Seg, since you don't know much about this case offhand, Ray Garden was the one who ghost wrote In a Dark Place, which is the Snedeker family haunting. He was the horror writer. He was a horror grandmaster.
Mhm.
Stevie actually interviewed him.
Yeah,
and
go ahead.
He was up for a Stoker Award, I believe, or a Bradbury, one of the big ones.
Oh wow!
And-
So he's fiction as fuck.
Yes.
Yeah, but the thing is, when he ghost
AF,
wrote this, it was a mess.
AF.
Like all of their testimonies were like just conflicting and stuff. And he brought that up to Ed Warren. And according to Ray, Ed had said, "We get these crazies all the time. This isn't an exact quote. We get these crazy stories all the time. Just make something up
And make it scary.
Yeah, and
I've
Ray
heard that quote
reported that.
before from him. I think he said that about a few different of the cases. Where he said, "Just
Yeah.
make it scary."
Yeah.
That seemed to be like what he just used to say to people. Just make it scary.
Yeah.
Right.
And another fun fact, the author that wrote the article in that newspaper about Annabelle in 1975 was also a mystery writer.
I can't
She-
get work
she-
to save my life, by the way. I would cobble together some fake crap. I don't care. I already
so they
used
have a
a
habit
pseudonym.
of-
I'll make up another one.
Yeah, they have a habit of finding fictional authors to write these quote unquote true stories.
Yeah, that's actually you're right. That's right.
Yeah. That was insane.
Seg, I gotta ask, does it get hot behind the mask?
I was thinking about that.
You get hot?
Yeah.
Like-
I'm sweating.
Yeah, so we're coming to the tail end of summer now. We're kind of entering autumn. It's still hot here, and this room is not air conditioned. So
Oh my god.
it's not comfortable.
I feel for you.
You're a trooper.
Yeah.
Like I remember, like
it was
younger when I
like
was
a few months ago when the humidity was insane. This was even worse. Like I have to clean the inside of this mask often because it will just be drenched.
Wow.
You know what I think, Seg? I think for the first time ever, right here on the brand new podcast of Fear the Living Pod, you should take it off.
Yeah, no.
I will
said no.
suggest the headband, buddy. Junk Bands. This is not an ad for them, but they do great stuff. It really wicks the sweat. I
Yeah,
can
you
actually
know what?
work in like 103-degree temperatures.
That's a great because I was thinking of something like that actually, just to sort of soak it all up a little bit. But yeah, that's a good
Oh,
idea. Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
So how's it feel your first visit here to Fear the Living?
I had a lot of fun with this. Like, as Chris invited me on, he said he wanted it to be like a surprise for the rest of you guys. But I didn't know what the topic was we were going to talk about. So I am so happy you showed me that.
I'm
that is,
so happy you came on. Like,
Absolutely.
me
We're
too.
very grateful
Awesome.
that you
Thank
did
you.
this.
He's really bad at keeping
Absolutely.
things. Like he totally gave it away.
He
We
did.
all
didn't know
guessed.
who it was.
Look on his face. We
You
guessed.
did
Well, I never guess it, but Stevie got it in like seconds on the first try. I thought it was
you?
going to be a puppet. Yeah, she said it was Seg.
I
said,
We
why
weren't
would you say that?
recording.
Oh
Stevie
yeah,
and
that
I
was
have
that.
done,
Yeah,
like-
yeah.
before
Stevie
he
and I have done
said
videos
he-
and live streams before. Stevie was probably like, "Oh God, not him again."
No, I'm
Oh,
very,
come
very
on, can we
excited.
get someone new on? Someone fun.
No,
No,
you're
it's been
amazing.
fun.
Before
We're
Chris
glad you
said that
came.
I thought it was Florio. I thought he had talked to Florio, but then when he started saying then I was like, okay, maybe it's Seg.
We
Shout
were like,
out
well,
to
how many
Florio, by
people
the
like
way.
us? There's this
how many
person, this person. That's it.
Got a very shallow pool, and I'm already here. So
I disagree with that, but anyway.
yeah.
Seg, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for coming on, Seg.
I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely.
All right, I think we're going to sign off now, unless anybody's got any parting words.
Nope, that was blessed.
Can I give a shameless plug? Paranormal
Go
Brew,
for it.
Wednesdays, 8:30 p.m. Eastern.
Good show. Destination Spooky just put out a new one.
Yeah, it's good.
And a book.
And
Yes.
And
the
book.
book.
I got to
Destination
reset my gum
Roswell.
road, but yep. Destination Roswell.
Get that,
Destination
guys.
Spooky presents.
I'll link that
Destination
below.
And as always,
I
one
don't
of the
know where to
most-
sell it.
One of the most amazing new podcasts growing out there, Truth or Demons with Stevie.
Thank you.
And of course, Side Eye Guy. He's got something going on too. You might want to check out. All right, guys. Until next time, here's to another. See you next Tuesday.
See you next
See you next Tuesday. Don't forget
Hurry
your
up.
local Papillon Rescue.
Yeah, there you go.